I'm ready! Why'd the music all of a sudden get so quiet? Hi-Res, turn it up. There they go. They're turning it up a little bit. Yeah, Hi-Res, turn it up. Yeah. Fiendish. Light. Fiendish Rage. Turn it up more, Hi-Res. Yeah.
Welcome one, welcome all to the Smite Showcase. Season 5 is finally here. We're a little bit delayed by a day, but weather caused that situation more than anything else.
Yeah, Atlanta is not equipped for cold weather.
Wasn't really prepped for this room.
Oh, thank you. First of all. It's such an exciting day for me.
Joining Ajax on stage with us today, or on the set, I should say, is Christian. Christian, tell us a little bit about what you do so the fans at home.
Casual Season 5,
so I'm
baby.
the lead environment artist for Smite, and basically I work with Chuck and the rest of my crew, and we basically do the entire environment for all the Smite stuff.
Awesome. So you've been involved heavily in the map then, I guess.
Just a little bit.
Big time involved.
Well, we got a lot of things to go through today, so I hope you all
go
at
right
home
through
have made sure you've got yourself drinks and food ready because it's going to be a long one. I don't think anyone's going to complete bingo if you played on Reddit today. I was looking at the bingo board, and I don't think all those things are possible.
It was not a very good bingo.
If it happens, I'd be very impressed.
It was funny, but it's not going to bingo.
Didn't work as well. So we're going to start things off with new Pantheons. We discussed them a little bit earlier on at Aries Expo.
Tell me about it.
I believe Voodoo and Slavic.
That is true.
Is what we're going to be seeing.
Yeah, I mean, we're changing up our Pantheon system a little bit, which is cool.
Okay.
What we want to do is add more unique gods to the game, and we don't want to hold ourselves back with a lot of constraints. So these new Pantheons are going to be added. We're going to add gods for them this year, but we're not going to pressure ourselves to add full rosters of Voodoo and Slavic gods. So you get one for now. Maybe we'll do some more later. Maybe we'll do more different Pantheons, but we're not going to like pressure ourselves into making 5 Voodoo gods right away.
So there's the two things. Obviously, we've already discussed the Pantheons.
I actually don't mind that at all. That's actually nice.
It's already
that way you can just get some, badass,
for the next couple of patches.
Oh, that's the skins we saw during the intro here with Jingwei and Cucullin. They're really cool, kind of Hades' underworld themed.
It's a cool picture.
So that's going to be the second bundle. There's going to be one more, so there's 3 total patches for Ragnarok. So next patch, you'll get a few more skins for that event as well.
And then after the Ragnarok, we're going to go into Season 5 Conquest. But we're quickly going to look very fast at the skins that are coming out. We're going to look at the card art for these skins, and we'll go into the game a little bit later on for you all as a sort of a break. Let's have a look at basically some videos for you, so we can play the video at the same time as we can, just discuss it.
Okay, cool.
Jingwei's the first one we potentially have available here. And there's
hi!
God, she looks a little bit psychotic.
Yeah,
well, Jingwei is very
bit,
fun and young, but now she's like a demon too. So you stack those things together and
with the horns.
Yeah,
as well.
that is
pretty good.
Woo!
That's the Jingwei. We've also
creepy.
got. Oh, there's a little.
That looks
game.
flipping cool in game though.
Dude, I love that bow.
Oh yeah, the bow turned out really well.
It looks less creepy, more like almost like hot.
Cucullin,
in game
fiendish Cucullin. You saw it on the intro too. Wow, the gems.
I'd do him.
Green,
I'll tell you right now.
Just stolen
I'd do
all
him.
the gems and Smite.
That's a good idea. Maybe we'll bring that back. Gemstorm Cucullin. He'll just be a green version of this one.
Maybe that'd be the case.
For now, this one's really cool and really unique.
Nice.
And my favorite thing is really if you can see the kind of facial structure they did on
I like that they have both
Berserk
going
form.
at the
It's
same
really
time.
like
That's
a
interesting.
big
That's cool, so
demon
we can
as
see them
opposed to
both.
more of a Cucullin but bigger.
That makes a lot of sense. Then next up after that is Star Salvager Skadi. Oh, that dog!
Oh, look at
That's
the
a good
puppo!
All dogs are good dogs, but this one's especially
that
good.
one's a real good dog.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good doggo.
The best doggo. There's a little
That's
bit in game. We'll get to
cool.
look at that later on as well.
This dog, we had
That's
such a
really
great time in
cool.
the discussions of art and iteration.
That's
on this,
very
and we're
different
so
and
happy
unique,
time
and
to
that's
have
I
awesome.
can't wait to hear the voice
Like
lines
that.
on that
Nice.
as well, just to see how that one works.
Robo
Next up
doggo.
is Knight of Wisdom Athena. Oh, she reminds me of the Hercules one.
Yeah, she's
Like
very
his sister, yeah.
traditional medieval style. And I know people have been asking for a skin like this for Athena, so we're really stoked about this one too.
Yeah, the plumage as well.
Yes, please.
Reminds me of the Hercules one a lot. Ooh,
Poppy!
I do like
yes.
that on that too.
And
Lovely looking shit.
Yes.
The way she holds her sword and shield, or her
Thank
lance
the
and shield,
Lord.
works perfectly for this kind
She
of
needs
skin.
a horse though. She's missing a horse with a lance that big.
Oh man, her kit does not really need a horse though, so that'll be tough.
Can she have like a flying horse that makes it all
Yes,
across?
finally. I love
Oh
the
yeah. Oh wow, that would really take it up a notch.
Next up, Demonic
Love it.
Thanatos is the next one.
Ooh.
How come every
Okay.
skin on Thanatos looks so cool?
Yes, this is
Literally
a
every
pretty
skin.
crazy skin, as you can see. You're going to have some very key
Oh my
differences
God,
between
it looks
this
so
one and
cool!
ones it might be reminiscent of. It's actually got very big model change across the board. The wings, the face, the weapon,
Yes,
the armor,
but
all
every
different.
skin of his
it's
is
also
freaking
not going to
amazing.
be transforming at all.
Yeah.
It's going to look like that all the time.
Man.
We'll get into that stuff
So,
later.
we'll
on
get
as
into
well
more details on it, yeah.
with
but
those skin stuff.
It's
as
really
well.
cool.
Dang.
Demonic Thanatos
So
says
good.
Pale Raven Merrigan.
So good.
End of the day, she's Celtic,
Ooh.
so she will be pale anyway. That's not a real shot. Don't think we need to put in there. But she's got a raven.
It's a white
A white
I like the
raven.
It's
card
very
art. Card
cool.
art's sweet.
Looks awesome.
Morgan's can be.
We've
Oh,
got-
we don't get to see her in
I thought we
game.
had a video.
There
Oh,
we go.
there we go.
Okay, I wasn't so sure.
Surprise.
Okay.
Shocked
Yeah,
by it
it's
as well.
okay.
Says it look at the crap.
Yeah, different color style. You're going to have full
Feels a
effects
little
and
bit
everything change
different
on that
in
one, too.
game.
Next up, Atticus De
But-
Bellota will be in this one. This one, from what I remember, if I remember the card art correctly for Atticus De Bellota,
Yeah.
it's a recolor.
Recolor, yeah. Now
Oh.
we're running into the next few will be the season ticket recolor,
Awesome. So these are going to be part of the season ticket.
tier 3 recolors, yeah.
Okay, so that's the
I
Bellota one.
actually
There's a
don't
little
mind
bit
the
in-game as
idea.
well. So
I
not
like
the
that they've
pink
kind
style, but
of
still.
strayed away from like
style.
regular.
Yeah, when we were
recolors,
originally
and they
concepting
do,
the skin, we were like
tier
red and
3
black, red and black. But then we were
recolors.
like, we kind of have a lot. We can
Pretty
probably make some
cool,
more interesting
actually,
colors. But then
because
we're
the
like, we
skin's
still really
already
like how
better
it
to
looks,
begin
so
with.
coming back.
So.
After that, we've got Groovy
I like it.
Aphrodite.
Oh,
Hella
yeah.
groovy.
Whoa,
in this
nice.
one. I really like this.
Yes,
card art.
this one's also getting a full like texture and modeling update, as well as the
interesting.
old Aphrodite will also be updated. I mean,
Okay.
we've seen this before. The hair is much better. We spent a lot more time on that.
She looks badass.
Overall texture is updated, so it looks really good.
Nice.
Bad.
That hair.
So that one, yeah.
How about that hair, right?
That's
Next
a good
up,
one.
Handsome Hunter Ho-Yi.
That's a good one.
Look at that.
We couldn't think of
Ooh.
anything else, so we went, he's
Damn,
handsome.
he is handsome.
He's
Tina-
a hunter.
Tina and I actually brainstormed on this one for quite a while. It was not an easy one to name, but
Ravishing Ho-Yi.
you know, we're playing off of that really
you could have called it Blue Steel.
romantic. Oh, yeah,
Blue
that was
Steel Ho-Yi.
Hindu man. Where are we gonna get you to more of these
Listen.
early art brainstorms?
Listen,
Because you're
just
just
show me later
a
on.
good idea machine.
That's
Good
kind of what they
idea.
have me for most of the
Machine.
time.
Yeah.
Titanium
seriously.
Ronin Susano is the
Oh,
next
yeah.
one here.
That
Yeah, so it's
doesn't
the,
look super different
He's a lot more red
than
normally. This time we've got a
the
little
other
more metallic
one.
color on his armor.
Blue steel.
I don't play
Well,
enough
there's
Susano.
more
Red
skins
too.
we could have called Blue
Oh,
Steel.
I
It's
guess
just the
in
Blue
game,
Steel
I
event.
guess
The
it
Blue
looks
Steel
a
patch.
little
That would
bit
have been the
different.
greatest. There's a look at it in game 2. Still, how many more have we
Okay,
got?
in
Two
game it
more
looks
on the
more
list to go.
different.
No, one more on the list to go.
One
I'm
more?
lying. Hired Gun Aries is the last skin
Hey.
for you. Now, obviously, another
Aries.
recolor, part of the season ticket, as we were
Right.
saying.
Yep. We really tried to find some really cool skins to recolor with this, and not ones that are kind of harder to obtain sometimes. So now you have
Sure.
a differthem chance to get those.
More chances to get hold of them.
right.
essentially, yeah. That makes sense.
All right, that turned out pretty
There's
good
another
with the
look at it in game.
recolor.
But we'll go into game later on to show all the abilities of most of these skins, especially the newer ones like the Fiendish ones and the Star Salvage.
that was like-
and the
that was
Night
like
one too.
Right.
That's a little bit
12
later on.
skins or
For now,
something.
we've got Christian on, so we should definitely get onto the map.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to actually go straight into
That was a
game
lot of
shortly
skins.
to have a look at the in-game of this map, and you guys are going to go
We're
basically
going
over some of
straight
the, the
in-game.
art and stuff with this as well.
Okay.
So we're going to start at the
Sure.
Order Titan by the looks of it.
Yeah, so as you can see, the base is completely redone, and we have some new features as well as new characters.
Fountain thing.
First of all, the base layout is very different. You'll see
Yeah.
we have these smaller pillars, which are served by
Interesting.
fountains, as opposed to some big walls on the inner side.
Okay.
We also have the new Titans, which they're
That's a
encased
rock.
They're encased in crystal.
Oh.
At the beginning of the game.
Interesting.
This is just part of our initiative to add more gameplay feedback and information. So the Titans are not hittable yet, and now we're going to make it clear that that's the case.
Okay.
When you destroy phoenixes, they'll break out
Whoa,
of those.
look at
Okay, so they actually
Those
break out
walls,
after.
Mhm.
I was
And
going
we'll-
to say, we're just going to have a rock in the base that you
really
hit. Is that what's going to happen?
close.
Yeah, so we
Oh,
based these
okay.
on lore too. So this is based off of the original Greek Titans, and so is the enemy Titan.
Yeah, so one thing that we did with the base was just we wanted things to be
Dang.
really clear on what like the
Dang.
corners are and stuff, and
Sure.
then like for the crystal was for gameplay reasons. It's like, listen, we didn't want any players to feel like they can attack the Titan without having to take out the Phoenixes first. So
Gotcha.
and then we have a lot of things on the floor that also to help for gameplay reasons, like the energy and
that's fun.
stuff. And we just tried to make everything really
Interesting.
clear on where edges are and stuff. So when there's a big team fights going on,
Man, look
you'll
at
know where everything
how
is.
Awesome.
How would you
much
describe kind of the
distance
new
there is
Olympus, like,
between
style
those
and feel?
phoenixes.
We really wanted to get
That
like a
is
pristine marble look
huge.
going on. I think
Gameplay
before it
implications.
looked
That's
a
a
little too much
long-ass
like
way to
stone and
walk.
stuff. So this is Olympus we're
Man,
talking
oh,
about.
it's
So
big.
we wanted to make pristine. We had some colors that we wanted to use, which basically
fountain is the
marble
size of
with
the
gold
arena. It
accents and
actually
stuff,
is.
and understand that this is like you're really entering into the enemy base
And that
from the
area
jungle.
is so
we wanted
closed
to make
off.
this area very particular.
Man, you're
Well,
going to be
speaking
in
of the jungle, let's
such a
actually head over to the
small
jungle
location.
now
Look at how
towards the
tiny
speed buff area.
that location is
that's
trying
the
to push
the
a
first thing
Phoenix
you're going
fan.
to see going to the
Oof.
jungle, I guess, AJ, with the new changes.
Yeah,
there's
so
some serious
we've made a
cracking
lot of changes to the
opportunities.
jungle as we changed the map and all the paths and all the size and shapes of
Yeah,
things.
the
But
Centaur
one
speed
very
buff.
specific change is that we've relocated the speed buff
Yep, to the
to
back
be
RP
further
location.
back, closer to your base. This is to make this one harder to invade.
Okay.
Speed buff generally has one of the biggest potential snowballing factors if it gets invaded, and we really want junglers. Throughout Season 5, we're really trying to empower junglers to be jungling. So this is one way we did that, which is bring them back a little further in the map, and we're also going to see their speed buff spawn a little earlier. So we're going to see the speed buff spawn first, and then the lane minions clash, and then the rest of the jungle spawning after that.
Gotcha. So it's not going to be possible, I
do.
guess, for everyone to group
That's
at the
funny.
speed at the start of the game and then get to lane still in time,
You
right?
could start everyone there, but then you will not make it to your lane in time. Definitely
Sure.
not, and
Okay.
that will put you way behind. And with the map being much wider and the respawn timers
so
for all the
ready to
jungle
play.
being faster,
That map
it's a
is
lot
thick,
harder
dude.
to
Look at that map.
clean sweep the whole jungle and keep it clean. You
Thick.
really need to spread out and prioritize
be
things
thick in all the
specifically.
right
If you try to roam
places,
as a full
dude.
group, you're gonna have a lot harder time with that.
Christian, I see you chose centaurs here as well, by the way.
We did, yeah. So when we first were
Yeah.
talking about doing the different camps and stuff, we tried to associate which creatures would go with which colors and stuff, and so we decided to do centaurs for the speed camp just because they got 4 hooves and they're
Full
probably
okay.
pretty quick. And so when we were trying to figure out what kind of their camp was going
Yo,
to
let
be,
it be
because we
known that
wanted
the
each
mid
camp to be
towers have already
individual,
died on the chaos
we
side
kind
of
of
the
figured
map.
that they would be like raiders of some
Yo, the
sort,
minions are
like pillaging
taken
and
out.
looting types. And so we
Mid-tower.
put these big banners,
OP.
like they took over this little area, and you could see a kind of a ransacked Greek building in the back. And then we wanted to have these banners that could be seen from different lanes. So the main one that's on the big building can be seen from main lane, and then the smaller banners can be seen from different parts of the jungle. So no matter how far you go out, you can see, you can tell where that camp is.
Awesome.
And they're yellow,
Man.
so that gives you extra feedback that
Yellow,
that's the speed buff
Yellow
camp.
speed.
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the order blue buff then, because we're on this side of the map. We
Alright.
might as well go and take a
Do, do,
gander
Oh, this one's really cool.
over the right-hand side and see what you've put down here. That was the Harpy camp? I'm sure we'll get to that soon.
Yeah,
is
we'll
my
come back to
favorite.
them.
But there's the
Look
blue buff.
at-
And what have we got here? Satyrs?
Yes, we
Okay.
do. So this one's really cool, and the real gameplay tweak here is that they are not ranged anymore.
Oh.
That
You
is
are now
true.
going to be able
They
to
are
pull
not.
them and group them up nicely. We think the
That
range
they are
was
not.
interesting, but it caused some frustration and some weird kind of like issues when you're trying to tank them around the wall. So now they are melee, and they will chase you like a normal melee camp would.
Is all the jungle camps melee based?
They are now, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and so on the art
Range
side
blue
for this
camp was
one,
just annoying.
we just thought they were very magical looking and stuff. So we went with the mana camp being this kind of reservoir or like this oasis and stuff. So to just basically associate it with the blue camp, and then we have it overgrown with a lot of foliage and stuff.
Literally
and,
the only thing
the big
Big
tree
Blue
in the
Buff
middle
being
is kind of our
ranged
big
did
focal
was
point
make it
where
annoying.
we tried to open
all
it
it
up
did.
so that also whenever you're in different lanes and at a distance, you can see this big really old tree that's got magical runes and stuff on it to help associate with the satyrs.
Well, from there we can go into the solo lane as well then, because that's where we're up to next. And
Mm-hmm.
solo lane, AJ? Still solo lane?
Yeah, solo lane, we
is-
made tweaks all across the map. The jungle definitely got more of it. The solo lane has the
You're right. Why is it cut off?
the symmetry is
Cut
probably
out.
the most important thing on solo lanes, and
Oh,
this
no.
is actually reflected in all lanes. So previously, order side
I don't know
versus
why
chaos
it's
side
cut
would
off
have
at the bottom.
slightly
I don't
different
know.
jungle pathing.
Those
You're
archers
right, though.
look
It is cut
amazing.
off.
That's
the
yeah,
bottom.
all minions are remodeled, so we got new archers.
I got nothing.
Come on to the evil ones. I
Yeah,
wanna
the
see
evil
chaos
ones are
again. They
really
look
cool.
dope.
Yeah,
they're
cool.
my favorite.
Wow, they look good. So, solo lane still has the shortest lane as well, like
Oh,
it has
yes,
been previously.
Solo lane, real short.
And we'll also see here is our first look at the Rift, which is kind of our thematic as well as gameplay new feature to the map. We have this going across the whole map. This is going to better distinguish the two sides from each other,
Sure.
as well as it ties a little
Thick
bit into
line.
the lore of how the map got the way that it is, with Hades
Thick.
rising his underworld up with his newfound powers since so many people are dying from Ragnarok. And then we also have this translate all the way through the jungle, so you get a little bit more of an extra warning when you're walking towards enemy territory.
You know where the danger zone is.
Yeah, exactly. And so like when we first were conceiving this, we were like, okay, man, we need something that just like really helps decide, like splits each side of the map. And so we thought of this huge like chasm and basically, Tartarus
Man, the map
rising
looks
and
so
stuff,
much
and
better.
we really needed to
Like,
convey that there
way
was this really big shift in both sides and stuff. And so we conveyed that with the rift in the middle and on the outside by having this huge chasm that just separates, this nice foresty Greek place that's been destroyed, and then all these like sharp-edged land masses for Tartar's side.
That's awesome. Well, let's head towards the mid lane a little bit. Then we can go towards the mid-harpy area, I guess is next on. We'll come back towards the Fire Giant momentarily, I'm sure.
Go cruise on past the Fire Giant, cruise on past the back Harpies, which have also had a slight location change, and then we're here at the mid Harpies. So for the gameplay tweaks, really what you have here is you have a bit more travel time from lane. This rock extends a little bit further into the jungle. So when you're trying to just farm lane as a mid laner and then quickly rotate to kill those Harpies, you're going to have to go a little further. And you also got some really cool pathing here, like this rock we just walked past.
Yeah.
This gives you a good split on the entrance to your lane. It makes it much harder to ward.
Yeah, that too.
It gives the jungler some real power because if you try to put a ward that's going to show both sides, you're going to have very little warning. And if you try to give yourself more warning, it's always possible the jungler could find a way around your ward. So we were trying to make things overall a little bit more risky, a little bit more decision-making going into just rotating and killing these camps. We still expect people in lanes to rotate to like the nearest jungle, even if you're not a jungler. But we wanted to add a little bit more weight to that.
I will say, Christian, like that actually looks like a Harpy-ness now than what it previously did.
Right.
Yeah, it was weird. Actually, older players will remember that the old Harpy camps also had nests and stuff with a little bit of bird eggs, but I don't think it was emphasized all that much. Because we added more islands to the jungles and stuff and a little bit more visual blocking, we needed to make sure that players were like, clarity that what camps are what. And so I don't know, if you notice, like for these camps, we added all these candles. There's nowhere nowhere else. There's not a lot of grass, and it's very rock cliff areas. For these Harpies, and so basically we wanted to give the Harpies kind of their own identity, even if they are just for XP.
We did it for the jungle camps, it worked out really well, but we're like, in the old map, the Harpies were still just standing on like a pile of rocks, so now they have a home.
Well, we can head on to mid lane next then after that, and with the mid lane, I can see it's slightly curved in that mid lane.
Yeah, that's part of the symmetry, actually. So in order the way we wanted to make the jungle, we have to put a slight bend in it. I guess we could have made it straight. But
and the tower on the Chaos side is switched sides there, right? Just to keep that symmetry.
Yeah, so the map is symmetrical across the horizontal axis. So the left side and the right side of the mid lane are now have different fields, different entrances. So like that difficult to ward rock, that's on the Fire Giant side of mid lane.
Sure.
The other side's a little easier to ward. We don't have the geometry quite the same. So between left and right you'll have differences, but not between order and chaos.
Cool. So shouldn't be any real advantage to an extent.
So hard
versus red
if they don't
definitely not. But mid lane we have this nice symmetrical side between both sides, so we get rid of that, as well as the extra environment treatment, so you can even see from inside the lane. You can see that the Harpies are Harpies, right?
Yeah, exactly. So on both sides, you can see that the rift even kind of goes up to the rocks and stuff, and it's kind of split in the middle. But we still needed to preserve that there's a wall there. But you could see the Harpies' nests, all the twigs and stuff on the other side. So I don't. Hopefully it's not confusing anyone that it's Harpies camp.
No, it looks great, and we're working on this rift still too. This is an update from people would have saw in the earlier videos in HRX. We're still trying to give this a little bit more of a. If you look closely, there's like faces and stuff morphing into it, which is really cool. We're trying to give it kind of like a River Styx, like Souls feel.
I think the original thing that
we're still working on
was
that.
all they did was they extended out the
artistic point, but as far as thematically and what the goals are going for, we're feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people concerned about they can fall into it, and it's a very valid concern, and so we're still working on making it so that it's clear that you can't fall through it, but that it like lore and thematic, it still keeps that there's a big rift. Yeah, exactly.
Makes a lot of sense. Now, one thing I can see is the jungle fog from here as well. We spoke about the jungle fog a little bit. AJ, explain a little bit more.
Okay, so jungle fog is something that was present in old Smite, something that players have been wanting to come back for a long time. So we did quite a bit of work. It was a real big goal of ours from the very beginning we started on this map, was to get this fog back. So here you have it back, and it looks really cool, and it adds a whole combined with the pathing and the shorter line of sights and the more coverage over the top, it makes the jungle just feel more intimidating, more scary. So one thing I wanted to get into specifically, more gameplay instead of art, is the difference between fog and fog of war. I've been seeing these terms used a lot interchangeably. They are not the same thing.
Okay.
Fog of war is a concept in Smite and similar games where characters at a certain range are not visible even if they could be directly visible to you, they will fade away.
Sure.
That depends on enemy vision or allied vision or having a ward. So the fact that this Odin is going to disappear when we get too far away,
That's fog of
that is fog of war.
Right.
The atmospheric jungle fog has nothing to do with that.
Gotcha.
It's there to look nice. It's there to help convey about. You can see the fog gets a lot denser around the place they're fading out, but they are not the two same concepts.
Okay.
So people asking me questions like, if I place a ward, does the fog go away? No.
Sure.
The fog stays. If you alt up in the air, which we could probably do with this god, you can still see the fog all below you everywhere, it equally. And if you had ward vision or whatever there, it would still look like that. You would just have the better vision of your enemies through the highlighting and UI if you have actual vision than if you're just looking.
So basically what you're saying is we've always had fog of war in the game.
Correct.
We've just had an atmosphere of fog to the game
Right,
now.
and we are not changing the way fog of
Okay.
war works.
Cool.
And so Christian could probably speak a little bit more just about the fog itself artistically.
Yeah, I mean, that was when I remember, like, it was just strictly for visuals and stuff. And I remember when they were first talking about it, I said, you want to do what? And bringing all this fog in there. But, you know, because as an artist, I want you to see it all. But I do think we put a lot of work into it to make sure that you can still see a lot of the landmarks that we created. You can still see a lot of the art, but yet still convey.
It feels good. It feels good, though.
Visually, the characters going out of scene.
Feels good, man.
And you know, we worked a lot with tech to make sure that it runs well, that it's cheap on people's computers and stuff, and so we worked around that. And we still have a few more features that we can and want to add, but we want to see how players, you know, respond with this one.
The current one.
Yeah, and for performance reasons and stuff. So, you know, but I think it came out really great, and I think that it adds a lot to the jungle.
Well, let's head to that red buff, because I just saw one nearby, and that's where we need to be in the jungle right about now. The red buff,
Red buff
any
is
change to the red buff this year,
Manticore.
AJ?
No, so no real balance changes, except all jungle camps and all lane minions are having some health and protections and scaling, all of that tweaked a bit. So you'll notice that. But this is the Manticore has returned, and as you see, we did some cool things where the buff holder has the wings and his little buddies do not. So, you know, the Manticore, he's a well-known character in Smite. People have loved him for a while, so we wanted to bring him back. And, he seemed like a good, aggressive monster to be the guardian of the red buff camp.
And it fits kind of well in the area as well, Christian, with the bones of an elephant in the background. No, it's not even an elephant, a dinosaur, whatever it is. What is that?
It's a dragon of some sort.
It looks dragon.
Well, that's the thing. We wanted something. So when we were coming up with all the different camps and stuff,
elephant, dragon.
we were thinking of this Manticore. This thing is just a gnarly beast and stuff. So we think that he would just like eat and just throw the bones away and stuff. So we just wanted this kind of really cool beast. And we were looking up some lore, and dragons are briefly mentioned in Greek mythology and stuff. So
they actually are.
And so we were like, let's kind of tie that in.
It's mentioned in the law. It's good to go. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, we try to really draw on lore on the whole map. So, you know, all of these creatures of Greek mythology and the Titans and everything, and the locations are all trying to draw a little bit more.
At least the map looks beautiful.
Let's have a look at the purple buff.
Supposedly, it's supposed to run better on your computer, too.
The
so hopefully,
Julen.
y'all get FPS increases,
What are they?
not decreases.
They are chimeras. So you've got a lion head, a goat head, and a snake tail. And we thought this was a cool one to go kind of with the purple buff. And this actually does have a balance change. So the two buffs that have balance changes are purple and yellow.
Oh.
So yellow speed buff is taking down a little bit of percentage of speed.
Okay.
It's really powerful in the new map, so we're
going
taking it
up.
from 20 down to 15. And this buff is also going to keep its flat production reduction, but it's also going to have a percentage base added to it. So it's going to scale better into the late game. A lot of people were claiming that, and we've seen before, that this buff was not as highly valued in the late game, so now it will be.
That makes sense. Okay.
Not to mention, this is not Cerberus.
No, it's not.
He's only got 2 heads.
Yeah, I know. But everyone was like, oh, Cerberus is a camp or something like that.
It's not the same.
Not the same. So for visually, what we wanted to put for the chimeras is that it was kind of a twisted, gnarly creature, and it's got a lot of different facets. And so we were thinking, you know, it's purple, so a lot of people associate purple with kind of poison. So we got these kind of cool poisonous mushrooms all growing around these big roots that have torn apart this Greek architecture and stuff. And
hide behind them as
and we wanted to make sure that all the corners and stuff that you would see like these pillars just being ripped apart.
Pretend to be a purple buff
from the roots.
That looks great.
Yeah, I love it. I love the little suspended columns that are being held up by the roots.
Yeah, the roots are just left on there. Well, into the Julen we should go then, as we're on this side of the map now. And Julen, I can see, first of all, there seems to be extra entrances on this side this time.
Yeah, so we have a different configuration of rocks and entrances here. We have this rock in the center that is split on both sides. Previously, that was just a single entrance. This gives your jungler ganks a couple more options as far as how deep they want to be when they get into that lane. If they really want to cut you off behind their tower, they can make that back exit, or if they want to come in right through the center, they have 2 options here now. So you get some really interesting fighting going around here in the duo lane.
Many
And of course, this lane is still, the towers are further away than the other lanes.
So many ways to get in and out of lane to be ganked in your butt.
Crabs have fallen.
No.
No, well, listen. We've
The
been
crabs are gone?
the crabs.
They are gone.
I think might make an appearance.
They might make
They
an appearance.
better.
appearance.
Listen,
We
as a
have one like
caster-
over there on the rock or something.
As a caster, we rely on them when the games are bad. Okay, we have no choice but to cast the crabs sometimes, and without those, we can't live.
And listen, the crab that flips the other crab, that's my favorite.
That's my favorite
my
too.
favorite.
It's a
my
real. So we've got no
favorite
crabs right now.
No crabs right
Rest
now.
in
But you
peace,
can see
crabs.
that's where the chasm, the whole divide has
Yes,
really
yeah.
started.
And
this
Christian's
time.
team did a really cool thing with the 2 sides of the
Free
map,
the
where the kind
crabs.
of the long lane side, the chasm is kind of below you and everything's falling down and crumbling into the ocean, and on the other side it's a little more mountains and rising up, so you get very different like elevation feel as you look outside each side of the map.
Looks amazing.
Yeah, so for clarity's sake, we wanted to be where no matter which direction you look, you could be like, okay, I don't see those
Chaos
cliffs and stuff
Towers
that are
is
rising
scary
up, so you
looking.
know that
Like
which
the
side
Order Towers,
it's going
I'm
to be
like,
on.
oh,
And
it's a
also,
Phoenix,
we really
it's
just
okay.
wanted to show the
That
depth
Chaos
of
Tower
this
makes me scurry.
chasm and that it goes
I
off
wanna
infinitely
find that tower.
into the to the abyss. And we wanted to have some really awesome waterfalls and just show kind of the destructive nature of the whole Ragnarok event.
Absolutely amazing, the Julen. Well, Gold Fury is the next one up. We're coming to the end of the map slowly, guys. Don't worry, we've got plenty more to give you, but we
Well,
have to show the map in more.
The
Give it
map
to
is the
me,
biggest thing,
give
so
it
we
to
got to
me.
talk about
Yeah, there's a
that.
lot to it.
So here we go.
Let's start with
The
Gold
Gold Fury
first,
looks
because I did see those
badass.
oracles behind you, but my oh my, does she look a little bit more regal and dangerous this time?
Oh yeah, so
Also,
very
her
different
little
art style
fight
and
circle
environment
is
style for the
tiny.
Gold Fury. A lot more creepy, demonic, evil. We're basing it actually off the Greek Furies characters, which
Sure.
are actual characters, and they're known to be part demon, and they're from like a section of the underworld. So they're really not as much described as
It's like
harpies, which we had
old
before.
school
So we're
Gold
really
Fury
excited
taking
to
zone. Like
redesign
itty
that. And
bitty
of course,
crack in
Chuck
your
brought
booty
his
hole
badassness
range, you know?
design into this one really well.
You gotta be
Really?
careful. of
I
And,
that.
see a lot of gold here.
Yeah, of course. And we wanted to put gold everywhere so you know which camp you're at. As far as balance changes go, we did do some slight tweaks to the Gold Fury stats and to the gold earned over time scaling. The big feature in the whole Season 5 map is that everything on the map is going to scale
scaling,
over
yep.
time.
Okay.
So lane minions are going to be worth more in experience and gold over time. Jungle camps are going to be worth more gold and experience over time. This gives us a lot more fine-tuning to do as far as the balance and the pacing and the snowball factor. So what that allowed us to do was kind of slow down the early game a little bit and then ramp up into the mid and late game so that everything
Ramp
becomes a
up.
lot more important. It's working out really well in
There's
testing.
the
I'm really
little
excited for
itty
everybody to
bitty
test that,
baby
but,
oracle
you know,
camp.
the Gold Fury was kind of always known as the objective
Separated
that
now, of
scales,
course,
and
from
now
the
you're going
Gold
to feel
Fury.
that everywhere.
Oh yeah, she screams.
Yeah, this is one of
She-
our favorite spaces.
she's
I think
a
that we got
screamer.
to design. So when we were looking up the Gold Fury and stuff, and we wanted to give this kind of, like you said, like a different part of the underworld, and so we wanted to capture that where there's like all these little pits and stuff where the gold is coming out, and she's just kind of stored it in this building in the back that not sure where it leads to. The idea is that she came forth from it and then just like continuously collected gold. And that statue in the back is kind of the idea that someone maybe worshipped this person, but wasn't sure what that Gold Fury looked like and stuff. So it's kind of like the human-esque version. It's a real slight nod to the Gold Fury. And behind it, for the oracles, we have this actual like pit
Oracles are
where
creepy,
the
too.
oracles come from. Kind of like,
Ah.
yeah, it's one of the few spaces that we have like a space that goes down. Usually, most of the time we build up, but this was kind of a really interesting space.
That's really good. And there's the oracles for you guys as well. So it's
Oracles are
still the
creepy
same sort
too.
of thing as what oracles used
Yep,
to do?
you kill both of them, you get vision of the area. It'll move the ward towards the center of the area, so you can see the whole area
Okay.
when you kill them. But the same team has to secure both to get that
Just the
bonus.
same. Okay.
You can split them, and then neither people get the ward. And
They've got their own radius
they've
now.
got their own radius.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
They
mean,
do.
putting them in the same radius we thought was kind of interesting, and it had some thematic things with them hanging out with the Gold Fury, but it was kind of confusing having two leash radiuses on top of each other, and we really wanted to fix that. So when we widened the jungle, we had a little more space. We just moved them over here across the way.
Ooh,
So
that
now you can
death
see the ward
animation
just appeared on the mini
pretty
map,
good
so
though.
we'll be able to see this.
Looks amazing.
Yeah.
But We're on to the next bit then, which is to look at some of the towers, because there's some new tower art and tech involved to do with the lighting or something.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of cool stuff like that. So both sides of the map have had completely redesigned towers.
Sure.
They're more different from each other now. So now
light.
you see the Chaos Tower, and what's really cool here is the floor radiating the energy. That's only going to turn on when a god is being targeted.
Okay.
So when a bunch of minions are here, they will walk in and fight the tower and stuff like that. And see if Pawn can remember the commands. He's spawning old minions, but we talked about before. He's like, "What are they called now?" It's okay, Pawn. You're still the best. But you see that the floor didn't light up. Now you've got the laser radius to tell you you're being targeted, as well as you'll be able to see your team. Will be able to see when someone's being targeted as well.
First thing, looks like a dragon to me. Is they both the same, or is one different to the other in Order versus Chaos?
No, they're very different, and that was one of the things that we said from the very beginning, that we wanted to make the towers extremely different and also thematic. So these were both concepted by Ramon Garcia, and that we wanted to have different. So like this one, the Chaos one has the dragon, the other one has a griffin, and this one's more. And also they have different color choices. So this is mostly, the gray rock with the silver dragon on top, and the other one, which you'll see in a moment, is gold and marbles. So.
The towers are quite different from each other. The whole theme of the map,
my God,
the
look at
different
this.
sides are more different
Jingwei
from each other.
buffs are incredible for Season 5.
That one. Clearly a total difference.
And previously, you're in part of the Chaos side jungle. It just looks like slightly darker version, slightly shadowed version of the Order side. Now it's very different.
The Order side seems so nice.
Marble and
it
gold
seems so friendly.
Here with the nice
the Chaos side does not seem so nice and
it's the only thing that you see in any part of the jungle that's this pure gold and stuff. That's the tie-in with the Olympus base.
Yeah.
And it's also just to, for more visual clarity, it's like, all right, I understand that that's a tower. Because like right now in the current one, I was like he said, it's just mostly in shadow and just darker.
Well, onto the Phoenix as we go as well, and Phoenix is a
cool
Phoenix.
bird
Their new Phoenix is very nice, new pretty bird. We gave them a little bit more of a traditional Phoenix style. The last year's Conquest had a very interesting art style, but a lot of people didn't think they looked as much like Phoenixes. They just looked like birds. So now we have a lot more like energy and power in their whole material, whole texture. And we've also got some interesting tech to go along with them. So if you kill them now, the pedestal closes up, and you can see the fuse.
That's a big old
Keep going.
Phoenix area.
We're gonna break out the and we
There's
saw a
of
fuse go
distance
to the Titan
between
space.
things.
They kind of
Right,
connected it, and then he broke out of his.
The map is crystal.
That's kind of cool. So
It's
it's
really
really there till the
huge.
Phoenix is dead.
To
like,
remind you now that you
The
have
map
to
is
kill
so
the Phoenix
big.
before
The
you can kill the
distance
Titan.
between the towers.
Because sometimes
and
you get in the
stuff
heat
is
of battle
so
and you
big.
really just run right
really
past the
feel
Phoenix and you
how
start
much
shooting the
longer
Titan.
it
You're
takes
like,
to go
wait, it's
do
not taking
stuff.
any damage, but it looks normal and it's fighting you and
It's a
stuff
very
like that.
large game
Now it's
plan.
going to break out and stuff, and you're going to be see a lot of extra feedback.
Well, we are in the Titan base right now, so we might as well have a look around to see how. So the Chaos base, I don't know, so Titan. The Chaos base, we should have a little look around and see exactly what the idea behind this was.
Yeah, so we
That's a
basically
big
wanted to have
old Titan. That man does not
it's
care
rocky
off.
forms, but there's also architecture built
He
into
can
it.
bop
Basically,
you.
the idea is that Tartarus is not just a natural landmass, but also like a very constructed space. And so you can see like the pillars and stuff, and we wanted to make sure that, that it was just a cool looking space, and we wanted to have it very, a lot of sharp angles and very aggressive looking, but not dreary, which is what I think the current Conquest has. I think we wanted to create a space that was like, oh, this is really cool. I
So
want to
creepy.
be in it, and fight for the Tartarus side.
Of course, and we have the really cool like giant Hades' kingdom in the background, which looks awesome. And I love the effects and the environment you guys did on the light and that like swirling clouds. Really cool, and you can see the bridge going all the way back.
The
We stopped there
aesthetic
and looked at
department
that.
just
And then of course we have the Titan himself, who is a very new style. He's a lot more
outdid
different
themselves
from
for
the
this
other
map.
Titans.
It's by
He's,
far the coolest looking.
Kind of based
Smite
loosely
map
on the
ever.
character Kronos, the original like bad guy Titan who led the Titans in a war against the gods and was locked away in the underworld. So what happens when the underworld comes up to the surface?
He's gonna come back.
He gets released. Yeah, of course. So he's a big scary
He
guy.
just
We've got
straight.
two things
Yo,
quickly to
Jingwei
show you in this map. The
confirmed
Pyromancer
can
and the Fire Giant we
Wololo
haven't
the
covered
Titan.
just yet,
Dude.
so
OP.
quickly skip back there.
Okay.
Squishy
Alright,
pump
never
pump pump.
mind. He's back.
Chop chop.
Alright, it's only a temporary
Fly
change.
away.
He's got it. He's got the hacks.
Ooh,
Was there an eye in there? I think he broke it. Yeah. Rip
Chop chop.
on.
There we go.
Can't even game shark
Speed and
properly.
through. Let's start with the Pyromancer first, I guess, is the easiest one. New buff.
Yes,
New
so this
objective.
replaces the Portal Demon. A lot of design changes here. So we have a
Yeah, the
objective. We
Pyromancer
really liked having this new objective.
very
That was really fun throughout Season 4, but we wanted to give it a little bit more ability to fine-tune. So instead of when you kill this, instead of getting a portal, you will not get a portal. Instead, you will get a buff that translates back to your base. You'll see a fireball fly across the map and go to your base.
Okay.
And what that does is it'll buff your base to the point where when anyone leaves the base, you will get a movement speed buff.
Oh, so kind of like old Swiftwing.
Yeah, so kind of like you give your
Literally
whole
like
team
Swiftwing,
Swiftwing buff. And what's cool about that is we can give the players a lot more flexibility in how they apply the buff. So now you don't have to go right back to Fire Giant. You can use this buff to rotate to other parts of the map. You can use it to defend your towers.
If you're dead and your team gets the buff, will you still get the buff when you spawn?
It only triggers when you walk out of the base.
Cool.
So the
even
buff,
if you don't get it.
yeah, you can come back anytime and still use that. And it also gives the designers, gives us a little bit more things to work with throughout the year. So if we think the buff is too strong, it's too weak, we can increase its duration or its speed amount, whereas the portal, we really only had like duration.
That makes
We
sense.
had one number to tweak. Now we have a lot more.
Okay. Christian, obviously on design of this, I guess you got a bit more free reign of like, we're putting a buff in that's going to do this. What do you want to do with it?
Yeah, I mean, well, just for this whole area in general. I mean, when we talked about doing like we're playing Battleground of the Gods, we were talking about like, do we introduce any sort of other pantheons and stuff? And then when we were talking about Ragnarok, you know, we thought, oh, this would be great to get the Celtic in there and stuff. So you can see some like Norse. But you could definitely see, you know, there's like all these like Norse columns and stuff, and we got these cool runes that hover in the back around the volcano and stuff,
cute.
and then this cool like the wooden dragons and stuff, and you know, with the pyromancer and stuff. I don't know if you can tell what's in there in the back, but that's the old giants.
Rest in peace,
Rest in
giants.
peace. A little Easter egg there.
Nice little shout out to
His
him.
chains are broken, but he's gone.
Freebie.
He's melted.
Yeah, but the idea is like, you know, maybe the pyromancer took it out, but
Impressive.
We kind of thought about the Ragnarok and how it relates to the whole story, right? Ragnarok is happening. This is our core story. Hel and Fenrir, they got this whole thing started. They're ending the world. Lots of people are dying. That's a global event. So that global event is what's killing a lot of mortals. That's what's powering up Hades to bring up his underworld. But it's also Ragnarok. There's fire raining, and there's parts of Ragnarok happening everywhere. That's why there's a Norse character on the Greek map. The fire giant. He came from Ragnarok. He crash lands into Greece, and he's here to cause some mayhem.
Wreak havoc. Well, I don't want to go into too many details about what he's going to do
Beat him
here,
up.
but he
Beat
does
him
have
up,
some
Pon.
new things.
Shoot him.
He does have some new attacks. So he still has his Rift, our old favorite.
Don't show it all, Pon.
Hard to dodge Rift.
We can see it in the playtest.
But then he also has a new attack where he summons a bunch of orbs in the air, and then they fire. And what they do is they split up between the number of targets. So if you try to solo him, that attack hurts really bad. If your whole team is there, you're good. Oh, this is how he spawns in. There's a big fireball that comes down.
Oh,
from
really? He
the sky.
just fires in like a fireball? That's dope.
Well, imagine him not there right now.
Right, and then this will
Pon's cheating, so he'll crash in like that, and then he'll
That's
show
cool.
up.
So you can actually see that.
There's two.
Can
fire
you see that across the
giants.
map? Say in Julen,
yeah.
you can look across and see this star slowly come down.
Yep.
It's not a star.
And he'll also have another new attack
That's
where he
badass.
lights his whole
What a
leash
cool
radius on
animation
fire.
for
And
him
if you try
to
to
come
cross
in
in or
from.
out of it, you're gonna have a damage over time applied to you.
Oh.
So yeah, the lore impact is really the most important thing here. And then of course we have a couple design tweaks. So
Fire Giant OP.
This
Fire
map looks
Giants
amazing.
OP.
Any final thoughts before we move on from the map?
I mean, I think we covered everything. We're going today. We're trying to go a little quicker, a little more general instead of reading every number. There is a lot of number changes in this map, an absolutely staggering amount.
To make you guys clear as well, the full patch notes with all those number tweaks will be available for you. I am not manually reading through every single number change of experience.
You can't even
goal
process
changes.
it.
Not enough pages.
But they all will be released after the patch notes for you guys to look at through at home and then debate over whether this number should be higher, lower, or exactly where it is right now.
I would really encourage everybody, because of the new scaling, to wait
Play the map
and
first.
play. There's a lot of things. It's much harder to just calculate things in your head. But the main goals of this map were, of course, to take the art to the new level with which Christian and his team and the character teams did an amazing job. And the other thing is we wanted to just affect the core pacing of Smite.
Okay.
And through those kind of changes to balance of golden and speed and how they earn over time, and making a couple tweaks across the map, jungle camp speed. We also made an adjustment to minion behavior. They're going to focus towers now instead of enemy minions when they're in the same area. A couple changes like that to help the map feel more like things are happening over time gradually, as opposed to like one big team fight that decides the whole game.
Awesome. Okay, that's it for map. It's time to move on to items. Before we do, Christian, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Let's have a quick flyover of that map one last time for you guys if you've just been tuning in to get a nice little feel. You've seen this video before, but take a quick look.
Bing, bing. Now what we really want, which is the actual, give me some number changes. Give me some items and god balance changes, some new items, some new stuff, and then let me play. That's all I want. All I want for my birthday is some PTS. Play some Season 5. Smite.
Welcome back
like
to
the
the
logo
showcase,
probably
and
could've
now
been
we're
updated.
joined by the illustrious Pompon. How you doing?
Doing pretty good.
You ready for
Been,
this?
Been pretty crazy, but yeah, I'm ready.
Oh no,
Cool.
my
Well,
name
now
is
it's time
over
to go
him.
through
How will we
some
ever know
of
that it's
the
Ponton?
changes to the game in terms of
I have to move
optimization
my
and god balance too.
video
But I'm
by
going
the
to
time
point
we
out
start
right
this
now
one,
before we
find
get
out.
into this, we will not be going through every single little detail of numbers. If some things have gone up by like 10 health or 100 health or something, those will all be available in the full patch notes after the show. But
How
we will be focusing on today
dare
any
they?
new items that are coming out and any big adjustments to items that have seen play previously. Is that
Right.
correct?
Yep.
Yep.
Awesome.
We're also going to change up the order a little bit. We're going to go in categories.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we're not just going to list everything alphabetically.
we're going to start with starter items here. And the first thing to say is there's all the starter items you know and love are gone.
Yes.
That is the truth. This is a big change. We
Next.
wanted to really look at starter items
All the
in
500
general.
ones, all the 800 ones
what?
are all gone.
So all masks and starter items currently in the game have been removed from the game.
As you see the bottom of your screen. Welcome to Blessings. What are Blessings?
Blessings are a new type of starter item that focus more
What?
on class
Hello?
role specific goals.
Okay.
They have mostly they work like starter items, but they have some slight new rules involved in them. So you'll only be able to buy one blessing per match. You can't buy up multiple. Once you buy it, you're locked into that one for the whole match.
Okay.
They're also going to all have some sort of stacking component that's going to evolve and get you better sales later in the game.
Oh, so kind of like Lono's mixed with Lono's Rangdars, but mixed
What?
with a starter item like a Death.
Yeah, so where Lona's
Tall.
kind of encouraged support
And you
players
can
to be
only,
around, get
dude, they
60
just straight up said you only can buy
kind of
one.
like showed them how to play this.
That's the straight
These
up,
items
no
are kinda
Boombas
too
on
big.
every roll.
All right.
That's
well,
what
I
they
guess the best
just
way to
did.
really do this, they're going to evolve
You
over
only can
time
get
too.
one.
We should probably just start off with going through one of the
Alright.
blessings.
I don't
Yeah,
wanna-
let's look at one. So
Assassin's Blessing is the first one on here.
stats, their blessing. Here's something that I normally do, but you're
by
picking this up, so you
freaking
can now enjoy these two. So
OBS.
any god
It is
can buy any
ridiculous.
blessing in any combination.
At the bottom, you can
Any
see it says
god
boost
can buy any
35%
blessing.
damage
That's all that
versus-
matters.
Sorry, bonus damage versus jungle monsters. How much are blessings, first of all, I
Ah.
guess? We should,
They're
'cause
700 gold.
they're all 700
All
gold.
of them are 700 gold.
700 gold.
All
Is there any
blessings
particular
are
reason why it's
700 gold.
It was just kind of the price point that made the most sense. If you made them a bit too cheap, it
Starter
gave
items
people
removed,
spikes.
Incon
If you made
removed.
them too expensive, it means that other tier starts are a bit
Classic.
more efficient than this.
Okay.
So you want this to be something that a lot of players can pick up. It's good to pick up. But it's not the
Assassin's
automatic
Blessing,
right
35
choice.
bonus
If you have a really
damage
high-level
versus
strat that involves
jungle
you maybe want to go like
monsters,
a
dude.
tier 2 item really
Okay.
early first. You can still make that work without being forced into this blessing.
Okay.
This price point works really well with buying
Confirmed
other tier 1
Incon
items
was a
and then still
starter
having room
item.
for a little bit of potions too.
Sure. Okay, and there's other changes as well to some of the other stuff that's starting off, so we'll
Yep.
get to that later on.
Oh yeah.
Assassin's Blessing, first of all, it's 700 gold, 35% bonus damage to jungle monsters, 7% health restored on killing a jungle monster, and 20 mana restored on killing a jungle monster. And the roll quest, this
Whoa.
is the evolution.
7%
Right.
So they're going to be
health
called roll
restored
quests.
on
Every
killing a
every
jungle monster.
blessing will have a roll
Oh.
quest with this.
So this is still
new,
part of
you
the
know,
assassin.
subtitle to
Okay.
support that role. So
This is
roll
still
quest
part of the
jungler,
assassin.
and you'll have to kill jungle camps
Got it.
to gain stacks to power up your blessing.
Got
Okay.
it.
And as you can see, whether kill or assist jungle monsters or enemy gods, jungle monsters are worth 1 stack and enemy gods worth 5 stacks. At 50 stacks, this item evolves to give you plus 10 penetration.
Yeah.
Something that assassins love.
Pretty much, and it also works
So
off.
it's just
either
like-
if
it's
you're
like
a heavy
Super
ganking jungler,
Boombas.
You can actually get ganks and get stacks, or if you're just a heavy kind of farm jungler, you want to clear camps and go towards the mid-late game, you can just farm your camps and get your stacks. as
So
well.
work both ways. Now this one feels very jungle focused because it's jungle monsters. It does bonus
Okay.
damage too.
And that's what a lot of these are. They are going to be very focused, kind of like a roll.
Right. Okay, that makes
Okay.
sense. But there's no harm in like Cabrakan jungle if those
Yeah.
come about picking up that item to do more bonus damage. So.
Of course, and you know
Interesting.
we might see people picking up this jungler blessing on non-jungle gods too, but the other blessings are pretty attractive, and you can only buy one. So if you're gonna do that,
pretty
you can't buy
attractive.
Boombas and Soulstone or something and be a mid lane pseudo jungler,
Show
you're going to
me.
have to
Show
lock
me how
yourself in. And if
attractive
you go
they
for
are.
the
Do
Assassin's
it.
Blessing, you're going to be foregoing the Mage's
Have to
Blessing,
commit.
which is pretty strong too. So it's going to be a lot more firm decision making as far as which one you go, but also more flexibility in that all gods can buy all of them, so you can do some pretty interesting combinations.
So that's the Assassin's one. We'll go on to the Guardians one next. The Guardian's Blessing is 700 gold. It's going to give you
Here we
100
go.
health,
For
5
Papa.
physical protection, and 5 magical protection. And
Give it to
whenever
me.
a
Something
minion
big. Give me
is
something
whenever you assist with a minion, you'll get 7 HP and mana restored. Also, it's got 3 gold per lane minion assisted on this as well. And the role quest is the last thing to add here. Assist with lane minion kills to gain stacks. Each assist is worth 1 stack. At 50 stacks, this item evolves and gives you more gold per 5, 3 gold per 5. So
Yep.
that technically once it's evolved, it's 6 gold. So you
Oh,
get 3 gold per 5 plus
thank
minions
you.
are still giving you 3 gold.
Yep, and that's
as well.
all triggers off just assists. So the more
Thank
supporty role where
you.
you're not necessarily taking last hits or farm.
I
from your hunter.
appreciate
This is more the
it.
support role where you're focused on getting the assist for these kills.
You can see this one's really powerful too. You can
Sure.
only power it up off assisting, so
me
that's
some
pretty hard to do on the new map. You
GP5,
gotta be hanging out with
please.
people
It's
in
very
lane.
support. It makes you want to play
Right.
support.
But it's also going to give you gold over time. So Lonos gave you just 1 bonus, and that's going to give you gold over time. So it really help the supports stay in the match
Feels
even
good.
as it goes along.
Well, next up, Hunter's Blessing is the
Oh,
next
I don't
one.
even
Can you
want to
imagine
know
where
how
you're gonna
OP
be in
that's
this
gonna
role?
be.
The Hunter's Blessing,
Yeah, right?
700
Whatever will
gold,
it do?
and it's going to have 15 basic
damage?
attack damage and 5 MP5 on this end base. And then it comes with the role quest for carry, because obviously it's not just Hunters that will pick this up. Some like Freya Soul could look
It's
You could do
very-
Vulcan ADC if you really wanted to.
Okay, well, Snoopy is maybe in the SPL next year. We'll find out. Role quest carry. Kill or assist lane minions or enemy gods to gain stacks. Lane minions are worth 1 stack and enemy gods are worth 5 stacks. At 75 stacks, Hunter's Blessing evolves, gaining 15% attack speed and an additional 15 bonus basic attack damage. Basic attack damage. That is not
Hello?
damage.
It won't work off your abilities.
Ow!
It'll just add to your, it's like the old purple buff where it gave you a bit
That's
of basic
a lot.
attack damage.
Yep.
It works into your crits. It works into your basic attacks. It does not
That's
work
like a
into,
lot of stat.
like Neath's one.
Okay.
That's
It's
a
kind of
many
new
much
stat
stat
that we haven't
right
really
there.
used before, but it's important to the game. You get
Okay.
more bonus for just characters want to use auto attacks. So this is actually really strong on like Soul and Chronos. We've seen even in testing is very good.
Yep.
Yeah, sounds
So
like
that's the
it.
Hunter's Blessing. We'll move on then to the Mage's Blessing. Mage's Blessing, 700 gold again, 30 bonus ability damage. So that's not going to empower your auto attacks. Right?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay. 3 MP5 per 10% missing mana. And the role quest is kill or assist lane minions or enemy gods to gain stacks. So kill or assist. Okay.
Yep.
Stacks are worth 1 stack and enemy gods are worth 5 stacks. So minions are worth 1 stack, enemy gods are worth 5 stacks. At 75 stacks, it evolves to give you 10%
That's
CDR.
good too.
Yep.
Okay.
So very
Good
similar
too.
role quest as the Hunters. You know, kill things in lane, which is good. That's what you want to
I mean,
do.
at least they're all
You wanna
strong.
farm up, get powerful, and then if you do that successfully, you're going to get
They're all
CDR
quite
here, whereas
strong.
you get more attack speed and basic attack damage on the Hunter.
Yeah, so it's a very clear line between the basic attackers and the ability users.
I realistically, I mean, that Mage's Blessing, this is why I keep bringing this up, because like Neath, for example, or Chiron, they can be ability-based focus, so they could go for
What are we
this to get
missing?
medic.
It's
Warrior's
quite good
Blessing?
on them.
And
Yeah,
you
We've
get
had
10%
Ultimate
CDR,
Warrior, right?
But then
Assassin.
you're not going to get the auto attack damage.
Hunter.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last but not least are the Conquest Blessings. There is other blessings we will get to in a moment, but it's the Warrior's Blessing.
Okay, there we go.
Would you believe it's 700 gold? It gives you 50 health, plus 3 reduction to all damage taken. Is that from all sources, basically?
Yeah, it's a mini Mark of the Vanguard.
Okay. And you
Okay.
get plus 40 health. 40 of your health is restored upon dealing damage to an enemy god with a 10-second internal cooldown.
That's kind of the theme of this blessing.
Sure. So go be aggressive.
The
That
role
seems
quest is
kinda
the same trigger.
All right, then. The role quest is for you guys. Dealing damage to an enemy, God provides 1 stack. This effects can only occur once every 10 seconds. Getting a killer assist on an enemy, God provides 5 stacks. At 15 stacks, Warrior's Blessing evolves, gaining 10 physical and magical protection. Okay, so you start off aggressive warrior, and then it transitions into, now I get a bit more tankiness if I do this.
Yeah, the really cool thing about this one is it
I don't
encourages
like
this
it.
constant poke, which oftentimes the solo lane is doing the most. So because you're always in the minion lane,
Doesn't
mixed up with your
seem-
opponent, just kind of swinging on each other.
Doesn't seem
And whoever manages
super-
this the best, you know, every 10 seconds
know.
really want to get a poke,
I don't know.
get a poke, get a poke, get a head, and
Or
that
get a
heal,
kill.
or get a kill.
Compared
of course.
to the
Get
other
a-
one,
put you
the
in
other
ahead
one
on the
seemed
stacks
really
and
OP.
the heal
That
trigger,
one just seemed
and you'll be able
like
to evolve your blessing
super
sooner and get that
meh.
little spike of tankiness.
Okay.
Maybe it won't be.
This works
Maybe-
pretty well on
maybe,
Guardians and
you
stuff,
know,
too.
It'll
Yeah,
end up
it does.
being
Yeah, you
fine.
can use
but
this
it
in a
just,
couple
it
roles,
just seemed
really
super
effective.
not
I think as a guardian you could definitely
in
do it, especially
comparison.
something
The
like
other 4 all
Apparel,
seemed like,
Rackers,
yeah, those are all great.
like you
That one
pick
just
them
seems
up.
kind of like,
Yeah, you can
meh.
go forward, be really aggressive, and get kind of rewarded for it.
Yeah,
don't know.
works out well. Time to move on quickly to the non-conquest blessings for you all. We're going to start off with the
Non-conquest
Attacker's Blessing. This will also be 700 gold. It'll give you 20 physical
this
power.
is not
25
available in
magical power,
Conquest.
and the role quest is damage.
Interesting.
Damage lane
just deal
minions
damage.
and enemy gods to gain
That's
stacks. Dealing
interesting.
100 damage to a lane minions that provides 1 stack. Dealing 100 damage to enemy gods provides 3 stacks. And at 50 stacks, Attacker's Blessing evolves to give 10 penetration.
Yep.
So if you're an aggressive character, you just poke for damage. You get
Interesting.
rewarded for poking for damage.
That's
Cool.
the attacker one. Next one, if there's attack, there's going to be defense, and that's what we're up to next. Defender's Blessing.
So this
700
is
gold,
like for other
100
game modes
health,
like
10
Siege and
physical
Arena and
protection,
stuff?
10 magical
Interesting.
protection. And the quest is tank. Mitigate damage to gain stacks. Mitigating 50 damage provides 1 stack. And at 50 stacks, Defender's Blessing evolves, gaining 100 health and mana.
Yeah, so this is an interesting trigger because it's off damage mitigation, which we don't really we track as a stat, but we don't really trigger too much off of it. And so now you have to be a tank, you have to be forward, you have to be tanking shots for your team, but you also want to stay alive because if you're dead, you're no longer mitigating anything anymore. So it's kind of an interesting trigger where you have to play this tank role very effectively.
These don't really-
to stack
Be
up.
tank,
kind
be
of
take
zoning
damage,
out.
get more health to take more damage.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of
If
sense.
they're not available in
Specialist's
Conquest,
Blessing is the
I don't
last.
have. I
Oh,
don't care.
oh,
To be
I'm-
honest,
I would not say
I
that.
don't
This
have
one I
time
think
to
is
care.
actually has
Look
the
at it.
most widespread application.
700 gold, shockingly enough, 10 MP5 and 10%
I
cooldown
don't got no
reduction.
time. Ain't
as
nobody got
standard.
time for that.
And the
you know?
quest is damage enemies or heal allies to gain stacks. Each
Nobody
time an
got
enemy is
time
damaged or
for
an ally
that.
god is healed by your abilities, gain 1 stack. Each ability can only trigger up to 3 stacks, and at 50 stacks, Specialist Blessing evolves, getting 10% movement speed. Ooh, movement
Yeah,
speed.
movement speed and CDR are really versatile. So you could pick this up on a tank, you could pick this up on a hunter. It could really go either way.
Okay, cool. So that's it for the blessing section.
That's it for our starter items. Those will be your new options. Rest in Peace, Soulstone, and Deathstoll, and all those guys. We'll see you later.
They will
Well,
be missed.
some of them are going to come back.
That's
a little
true.
Bit later.
What,
Yeah.
what- I was really excited about mannequins. What happened to that?
A lot of the cool passives from starters, we're like reinterpreting, reimagining, powering up, and applying to different tier 3 items, actually.
Oh, actually, in this patch.
In this patch.
Okay,
Oh
well,
So a
boy,
lot of them will
nothing
be
like a
gone,
tier
but not
3
forgotten.
we're starting
bluestone
to get
bleeding
the
out your
other
butt.
items and stuff now, but before I do, I'm just going to reiterate
Okay.
one more time. We are not going through every freaking number, okay? I have done a 4-hour patch up before. I have sweated to high heaven before.
We know not to do that.
We're not going to go that deep. So what we are going to do is we will release a full patch after with all the little small ups and downs and changes. But so what we've done to make this easy is present you guys with a nice little graph, first of all, or a graphic, I should say, to explain some of the changes that are happening that we're not going to go too much in detail about, and they'll get explained later on.
Yep.
So, without further ado, let's have a little
Do
look
it.
at the buffs,
Graphic.
nerfs, and adjustments they're going to reveal.
This is
I'm
not
going to
a
read from the
graph.
top so you can all see. Demonic Grip buffs are Demonic Grip, Sovereignty, Heartward Amulet, Iqval, Atlanta's Bow, Transcendence, Bancroft's Talon, Divine
Holy.
Ruin, Soul Reaver,
Wow.
and Chalice of the Oracle. Actual nerfs will be to Warrior
Okay.
Tabby and Ninja Tabby, and the Aegis
Get destroyed.
Amulet in the Relic section. And all those items at the bottom
We're
are
gonna
getting
Shout
adjusted.
out
we're
to
gonna go
Guardian.
over a lot of those too
Yeah.
because they've been
Now-
redesigned or heavily
I was gonna say,
changed and stuff
these-
like that.
If we don't read out any of these items, it means they've had small adjustments
Oh,
to
no!
them in terms
I'm
of
getting
a nerf,
nerfed!
a buff, and an adjustment. But we're
Right.
going to go into detail about some of these items because they've had big changes to them potentially.
Yeah, and we're gonna go through in categories. So first we did starters.
We did.
Next we're gonna move on to mage items.
It's mage time.
And then we'll do into some anti-tank items, some movement speed items, and redesigned
I'm
items.
sorry, tank items. Are we against tanks now? Is
We
that-
one step at a time. One
Okay.
step at a
We'll
time.
get
First
there.
is mages. First is
Okay.
mages.
I saw that Loki buff. I had a feeling that was to do with that too.
Well,
No?
that's on. We'll get there too.
Well,
All in
yeah.
good time.
Let's start off
All
then
in good
with
time.
mages, and we're going to start off with magical items. We're
Okay.
going to begin with a Rod of Tahuti. Rod of Tahuti's taken a lot of changes here, guys.
This is a big change.
Yeah, it changes kind of the whole mage class with this single item
It's
adjustment.
generally because of the passive is the reason. As you can see on the
Decrease
screen right now,
gold.
we're going to be decreasing the
Wait,
cost to
decrease
3,000 gold.
gold,
increasing the
increase
magical power
power.
from 125 to 150. But it's more to do with the passive is the reason we're going to discuss this more. The new passive
Yes.
is gain 25% additional magical power against targets below 50% health.
Oh.
So the old passive's gone.
Yes.
Yeah, the old passive is essentially now a conditional trigger, assuming the target's low.
Okay,
So-
Interesting.
The big one is mages were kind of forced to build a whole bunch of magical power because when you have an item that's so good as Rod Tootie that boosts your magical power
Huh.
by you having more of it, it makes it so that there's really only single choices. We saw a lot of mages rushing Book of Thoth, when Doom Orb became a bit more effective, it was Doom Orb. When people could stack Warlock Sash to get a good amount of power. And you were just looking for these high power items, and there was a lot of really interesting other mage items that just couldn't really see play because you were always building towards this Ratatoskr.
You had to get to Hootie.
It constrained mage builds, and it
That's
constrained the
certainly
whole
a
mage
nerf.
class.
Holy.
You really had to just build power on top of long-range DPS mages AoE. That was it. That was really forced in many ways, and it was encouraged by the game because you're going to get this huge power spike by just building that way. So with the new change, you're not going to get this big bonus of power just playing off power. Is it going to be more conditional? You're going to see, we're hoping to see, and we have been seeing in playtesting, you're going to see a lot of different mage builds. You're going to see ones that are more lifesteal focused, ones that are more cooldown and utility, ones with a little bit of tankiness like Warlocks. Those items are all going to become better relatively because power won't be the only option. As well as you're going to see mages of different play styles, like the tankier ones like Zhonghui, or the ADC mages like Sol or Chronos are going to come back also because they don't need to just build these big AoE damaging abilities with more power. They're going to, all of these options are going to be much more open, much more balanced across the board. And the final thing is that mages had a very strange kind of power spike counter back and forth where whenever you got Rod, you jumped way up in power, right? Normally you scale over the game, every god, every class, every other type, you kind of get these incremental advantages. Mages was like little bit massive. And if I happen to build my Rod a couple minutes, like let's say we're both building him 4th item, me versus Pawn. I get mine first. Pawn just like can't even fight until he goes and finishes that. And it's not fun. People come around a corner and you're like, oh, I didn't know he bought Rod, and now I'm just dead. So now things are going to be a little more smooth and be a lot more
sounds pretty salty about Ratatoskr.
So that's Ratatoskr.
I think I had some bad experiences with some Rod of the booty, man.
Of course.
Because obviously, the downshift for mages overall.
That's why we have the
Ajax
section, the
finishing
mage
off
item
his
section.
Rod.
It's separate at the start.
So we're going to buff a lot of other mage items to kind of compensate for that power loss.
Well, let's start with Doom Orb then, because that was Ratatoskr. Doom Orb's the next one up. I'm going to read off the text first, and you guys can tell me all about it. Decrease the cost from 2050 to 1700 gold. Increase the MP5 from 10 to 20. And a new passive, killing, assisting an enemy minion provides you with killing or getting an assist on an enemy minion provides you 1 stack of Doom, granting you 1% movement speed and 3 power per stack. Lasts 15 seconds and stacks up to 5 times. Enemy gods provide 5 stacks. So it's not the old Doom Orb of get 40 stacks and get all this power and mono regen. It's now a consistent keep doing this to get this.
This is more of a lane boxing mage bridge item now. Traditional kind of bridge item with a high power payoff at the price point, but it's going to drop off late game compared to tier 3 items. It also encourages a lot more playing around your lane and fighting each other and fighting your opponent in between waves and making moves to rotations and jungle camps as you play. We really like this style because previous Doom Orb was either completely snowball-y or complete garbage.
Really cool
and it was way too binary.
We
even saw this at like HRX when the teams that were building Doom Orb and doing well, though, that was winning a lot. And it was really outclassing the other mage stacking items. It was Book of Thoth. I don't even know if it made an appearance.
That ended up just being so weird that I kind of lost
Warlock
even what was
Sash
happening.
mages were definitely struggling.
Because it just got weirder.
So we wanted to
and
kind of completely shift Doom Orb to something that's more widely applicable and something that's going to encourage this kind of pacing changes and healthier fighting at consistent paces throughout the game, as opposed to just big power spiking payoffs single game wins.
By buying this, you're really changing your playstyle up. You're playing kind of like old Poseidon did, where he has movement speed, where you just stack up, be really fast, and then
real quick.
And especially on the new map, movement speed is something that's pretty valuable. So having this kind of interesting playstyle shift based off you building this item is really interesting.
Okay, well that's Doom Orb. We'll move on now to Telkind's Ring.
This one's exciting.
We'll read over this again. It's going to go up in cost. I'm sorry.
Added 20% attack speed because why not?
Gold, so a 400 gold increase.
Yeah, next
20
step.
Attack speed to this item. And not only that, it's got a new passive. Your basic attacks deal bonus damage of 10 plus 5% of your magical power.
Because we love Freya and Chronos, don't we?
It's very much focused on
we can't have Freya out of the meta for too long.
Mage ADC luxury item.
Okay.
So, we had old Telkinds that had a flat component. We always kind of had a tough time kind of figuring out why that was useful. We knew it was fun to people because you could build like Sylvanas ADC. It was kind of strange, but it wasn't really good. But when we were looking at making all types of mages viable, we needed the mage ADC needed another item to really empower that style. And
Freya every game, boys and
component,
girls. Freya.
Now they get additional actual scaling on their basic attacks from this season, which is just really strong.
Yeah, a lot of the items previously were focused either around like increasing their ability damage, or they just kind of had to go with those builds because going Ratatoskr at the end was the best choice. And so now that that's changed, we actually added this item that really, really focuses on the basic attack component.
Hunter's Blessing, Sylvanas, Telkind's Ring.
It's probably viable, honestly.
His base attack's so low.
Yeah,
It's
but
like-
it's
it's
AoE.
0.88.
But it's AoE. It's AoE.
We'll see.
Pon will jungle that. Pon will jungle
I'll try it.
He'll try it.
Maybe today.
Jeez, dude.
Book of the Dead is the next item on this list to be looked at.
I
And you
liked
saw down
Book of the
bottom left
Dead.
Trees. This item has been moved from the trinket tree to the book tree, first of all.
Because it's a book.
It hasn't. Well, I mean, that would make sense.
Small aside, now the tree with soul reliquary
Yeah.
is now all books.
Okay.
So we have a tier 1 book, we
So
have a
Book
tier
of
2,
Thoth,
tier
Book of the
tier
Dead.
2 book,
Okay.
and then
Soul
we have
reliquary.
Book of Thoth, Book of the Dead,
Thoth.
Polynomicon.
Book
and
of the Thought.
Oh, yeah,
We
isn't
moved it over there to the books.
Wait,
yeah,
Poly-
and
So do they all
Soul
have
Reaver,
life
Soul
steal?
Reaver. So now you have a full book tree that is actually thematically making sense. Build off items that you actually know what they are,
I'm
as opposed to a
confused. Do they all
reliquary.
have
Can we just
lifesteal,
can we
or
just
do
put
they all
book
not
of
have
Book of
lifesteal now?
Polynomicon. Book of.
I'm
yeah.
confused. Half of those
Book
have
of the Dead.
lifesteal,
Book
and
of
half of
Soul
those
But Soul
don't.
Reaver, yeah, I mean, we could.
Just because it makes sense.
Which one's changing?
So you can go to the library now as a mage.
Yep.
So Book of the Dead, item is moved to the tiny trinket, so to the trinket tree. It's got a new icon. We've decreased the cost from 2,800 to 2,600. We've removed
Remove
20%
the
magical
lifesteal.
lifesteal of
Yep,
this
there it
item.
is.
We've added 200 mana to this item,
Theme of that tree is mana and power.
and the new passive
There you
is
go.
if you drop below 50% health, or HP I should say, you gain a shield equal to 25% of your current mana.
Woo!
Shield lasts 6 seconds. This effect can only
Oh,
occur
boy
once
golly.
every 90 seconds.
Yeah, so we loved the shield passive with Book
Okay.
of the Dead. It was really fun. It was really interesting, but it was very out of combat. It was very farming based.
Okay.
So we were like, let's bring in the in combat
Yeah.
as well
That could
as
be
let's
a-
bring in
that's
the
like a
mana synergy.
Big boy
So you get some really
shield.
cool options with building a lot of mana.
Kukul Khan, Fafi,
So that's
Book
Book
of
of the Dead.
Devi.
We'll move on next to Soul Gem. We've got a lot to go through now, and we're an hour in already. I
Yeah.
predicted.
Are we really?
I predicted
we're
an
an
hour
hour in.
and 30, and I think we're looking.
It feels
more
like we've
2
only been on
hours.
camera for like 15 minutes.
It
All right,
goes
we'll go faster.
All
So,
right.
go.
Soul Gem, next up. 2,300 gold for Soul Gem,
Okay.
65 magical power, 150 health, 12%
Not
magical
bad.
lifesteal,
That's
10%
decent,
CDR.
just general
New
stats.
or passive, every time you hit an enemy with an ability or basic attack, you gain 1 stack.
Like
At 5
Soul
stacks, your
Stone?
next ability will deal bonus damage equal to 25% of your magical
Like
power. and
Soul
will heal
Stone.
yourself and
Oh
allies
my
within
God,
30
that's
units
good.
For 25%.
25%
Wait,
bonus damage
so
and 25%.
even if I'm not a healer,
Yes.
healing?
I can heal my
Yes.
team.
What?
Yes.
Yeah, remember how we
Okay.
talked about bringing some stars
Hi,
back and
that
buffing them
is
up a bit?
so
This is what we mean.
freaking strong.
Yep.
Okay.
It's has a really
What?
interesting effect, especially if you're already kind of a healer that can spam a whole bunch of abilities like Chong
Then
off.
you get another one.
You're gonna be able to heal more.
It's pretty hype.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
All right. That's Soul Gem.
You thought that was hype. Wait
Yo,
for this
when
one.
you
All
get
right,
friggin'
Typhon's-
Scylla
is it
ulti
Typhon's
healed.
Fang?
Typhon's Fang.
Typhon's
Full
Fang.
heal.
2,800 gold. This is a new item.
Luxury.
100 magical power, 200 mana, 15% magical lifesteal,
yeah.
and the passive.
Okay.
Your magical lifesteal from items is increased by 50%. Your magical power is increased by the 100% of a magical lifesteal you have.
Yes.
Yep.
So this is a lifesteal multiplying item. If you have 50 lifesteal, you also get 50 power, and you also get half of that as more lifesteal. You get 75. You get a bonus 25.
Am I
and you
getting
also get
pranked?
So it's got 15 magical.
They both
50%.
calculate off of the same core number, which is how much item lifesteal you have before the passive starts. But you
Okay.
can transfer your lifesteal into more power and your lifesteal into more lifesteal.
My power is increased by 100% of the magical lifesteal I have.
Yes.
They stack on each other, right?
Well,
No.
they don't go back and forth. You don't get the increase and then power.
Okay,
They
I
both
just wanted to
play
make
off
sure.
the
I was
same
like,
core
woo.
number.
Okay.
So say you have 50% lifesteal.
Because
you get
why
75,
wouldn't we just
and you
want
get plus
Freya
50
to
power.
just be banned
Okay.
every game?
Lifesteal,
Ban her
lifesteal
every
mages
game.
are back.
Because
Yes.
she already has built-in
Yes.
lifesteal. So let's just give her an item that gives her lifesteal with her power, and a power with her lifesteal, so she can lifesteal with her power.
It is expensive. It
It
is.
is really pricey.
Obsidian
not?
Shard is the next one up, and penetration. I
Yeah,
guess we
so
should
this
start
is our
with that.
translation from now we're going to move from mage items,
Okay.
this is still a mage item obviously, into our anti-tank items.
Right.
I released a blog
Abshard.
post a little while ago talking about how the dynamic in Smite works between different classes. We don't really want to counter tanks or nerf them. We don't want to nerf tanks across the board anyway. There's
Right.
already guardians and warriors at all
Okay.
across the stats,
Sure.
right? There's good ones, there's bad ones. They don't need all to be adjusted in the same way.
Okay.
But we also want to make sure players can counter build. This is something we've always encouraged in Smite. This is something we really like, and you'll see a couple other changes in the patch to be specific counters. But a problem was Titans and Obsidians were just so good
So
against
good.
everything.
That's true.
If
That's
you
not
went
wrong.
Obsidian, you were getting against most characters, except for other mages, you were getting about 15, because that's just how that worked out. And 15 pen is what you get from other items. So it was a good decision.
Right.
It was a good buy against squishies. It was also a good buy against tanks. And if you up it to 40%, 45%, you start having tanks who just build this once, and they have like suddenly 20 pen on a squishy. And so it was something that we really couldn't adjust before. It wasn't a tool that we could actually use, but it was designed to be a tool to specifically counter tanks.
Okay. So you're going to see now 4 items, 2 that work off protections and 2 that work on health, 2 for mages and 2 for physicals that are specifically nerfed from their Season 4 versions, unless you're fighting against very tanky gods.
Okay, so here we go.
Okay.
33% magical penetration removed from Obsidian Shard, but it's got a new passive. Your magical damage ignores 20% of the target's magic protection. If the target has over 40 magical protections, this effect scales up to ignore a larger percentage of their protection. This caps at 45% magical penetration at 175 or more magical protection.
Yeah, so if someone stacked a whole bunch of magical protections, you can actually shred 45% of it. But if you're writing a squishy character who hasn't built any, it's actually just still at 20%.
Gotcha. So it's going to scale based off what you're fighting. So it's still...
It linearly scales up between those 2 numbers.
And Titan's Bane is the next one up, and that's going to be a very similar
guess
story
it's a
here.
base
Remove the
meta.
33% physical penetration.
Okay.
Your physical damage ignores 20% of your target's physical protection. If the target has over 65
I
physical
love being a
protections,
tank
this
in
effect scales
Season
up to ignore
5.
a larger percentage of that protection. This cap at 40% physical protection.
Of course!
So penetration at 175 or more physical protections.
Right.
So
Yes,
once again, if you've got a
burn
lot
me,
of armor, you're going to
Papa!
shred more of that armor on that target. But if you've got less armor, you're going to do
Less
less
shred.
Perfect.
Yep.
Right.
job done. Okay.
Yep. These items, you will not want these
Yes.
items to counter your similar class. You won't want to do it against Hunter Boxing. It will not be as good as a flat pen item.
Okay.
But if the enemy tank is really giving you trouble, built too many Nemeans and Breastplate of
This
Valor,
is what we
you
get
can
for
itemize into
hiring
this. But it's
only
gonna hurt your
mid
damage a
players
little
at
bit
high
towards
risk.
towers
We
and
got
other
MLC stealth.
squisher gods.
Oh,
We
yeah,
got
because this
chaos.
also now
We got to
auto.
stop hiring
affects
mid
when
players.
God
We got to start
affects structure.
hiring
Correct.
Jeff Hindlers
So
in the Trix
how
tanks of the
structure
world.
damage is like
Okay,
just flat
otherwise
pen is
tanks
gonna
are
be
never
best.
going to get
Yeah,
items.
flat pen. We've also done a few adjustments to towers that we'll get to later.
Right.
Goodness.
That kind of also helped that a bit.
Holy.
But flat pen is now the go-to stat to damage towers.
Okay.
So the main goal, Titans and Obsidians, are not just be these catch-all penetration good against everything anymore.
Makes sense. Ethereal Star is the next one on this list, and this is based off what Edge was just saying about the health. The new
God.
passive of Ethereal
This
Staff will be
one's
your
so
abilities deal an
broken.
additional 3% of the target's maximum health as true damage. If the target has over 2,000 health, your ability bonus damage scales up, capping at 10% max health on a 2,750 HP targets. This effect can only occur once every 10 seconds, so dot damage. Nice try. And prioritizes
Yes.
highest max
I
HP
can't
targets
build
first.
protection.
Yeah, AoE will only hit one person.
Cool. So
Because
it's
they
the
have
one with the
40%
tank. So very similar to what
pen.
Soul Reaver used to
But
do.
I
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
build
And chin
health
size. or
because
chin
they
size,
have
whichever way you wanna say it.
10%
The
health.
new passive on this,
True
on basic attack hits, deal
damage.
physical damage equal to 3% of the target's maximum health. If the target has over 2,000 health, your basic attack bonus damage scales up, capping at 5% max health on a 2,750 HP targets. This only affects gods.
Right. So it used to be 4. Now it's scaled down from 3 up to 5 against very tanky targets.
Yep.
Okay.
So nerfed in a Hunter versus Hunter situation, buffed in a Hunter versus Guardian situation.
So they were the tank shredder items we were talking about.
Yep,
And the
those are the
next
4.
one is, what was the next section you wanted to class?
Movement speed.
Movement speed.
Yeah.
All right,
So
give me
Boots are
something.
getting
Give me,
nerfed.
I need something,
That's what you need
Ajax.
to know at
You
the
better,
base level.
you better
Pretty
be
much,
making
pretty
me
much.
some
Well, I mean, it's not
super
because 500
items.
start.
So yeah,
Yes.
tier 1 is going from 300 to 500.
That's the first thing. We've not listed that yet on our section, but I just wanted to bring that up.
And-
That's why when you add the blessing in, 700 gold for a blessing, 500 for boots tier 1, you've still got, what, 12?
Yeah,
200
you can
gold
get a
left?
couple potions.
300.
300,
yeah.
200.
20.
That's a good start.
Yeah, it's okay.
So is Blessing tier 1.
movement
So
speed
boots
on Talaria
1
boots,
are now
man.
500 gold, but
That's
we're
so
looking
crazy.
at Talari's and Travelers boots first of all, as you can see on the screen.
20
We've increased the cost of these from 1,400 to 1,600 overall, added 15 MP5
That's
to these,
crazy.
we've increased the movement speed from 18% to 25%, but the passive has changed now.
Yes.
You gain 20% additional movement speed after leaving the fountain. This effect lasts 7
Jeez.
seconds. So,
And you get swift.
combination of Swift Wing, no gold regen on these either.
Yeah, it's the gold, the go fast boots.
They go fast, but you don't get gold gain.
Man.
Correct. There was a few issues with Talari's and Travelers where you could gain gold, but you didn't know exactly what targets you were going to get.
Yep.
Conveying that effect to the
So
player is very difficult.
speedy.
You just had to keep this mental counter in your head. And it also, especially with all the pacing changes that we wanted to do in Conquest, this extra spike of this gold
Man.
that Guardians could earn
Super Saiyan.
just kind of threw off differences between characters. If you didn't build them, or if you built them, you had a very
Gotta go
different gold level.
fast.
And so when we designed something like Guardian's Blessing, that was meant to be the kind of the gold generator for the Guardians. Talari's boot didn't necessarily fit that goal anymore. So we've shifted it to the Go Fast boots. Anyone can build this, so it's opened up to a whole bunch of different classes.
Right.
pretty cool.
It's very. I mean, I think they'll be very strong, but you do have to sacrifice specifically some power and some other things.
Yeah, you're losing like 30 power for
no
Warrior
pen,
Tabby.
no cooldown reduction.
There's also some other adjustments to the other boots. We increased the cost of a couple other boots, Ninja Tabby
and
Warrior Tabby. Also, mages got the increase as well in the cost, but they got some stat adjustments as well. That's why they're on the adjust section and not the nerf section. But
now
all the boots are a little bit more expensive.
Just to reiterate again, everything will be available for you guys to read through manually after the patch note show. We're not going through every single number change. We're just scanning over.
Right. We're already running late. If we read all of those changes, this will be
here
insane.
for hours
So
more.
you're going to see a lot of changes to boots, and the biggest ones are redesigns of Talarian Javelers.
Next up is the Crusher. It's got a new passive, does Crusher. And the passive is while over... Sorry,
it's got blue
your abilities
stone
deal
pendant.
bonus
We
damage
found
over time
it.
equal to 30 plus 15% of your physical
It's
power
blue
over 2
stone
seconds.
pendant.
Souped up bluestone.
So it's not...
That's so
Tower
freaking good.
Well, it was Tower
It
Strider,
wasn't,
and then it became
changed.
CDR, and now it is
That's
amped up
so
Bluestone.
good.
And this really makes sense for the kind of hunters who are the more ability focused. The attack speed is really nice for them, so that they can actually start attacking a bit more,
Damn, son.
be kind of more huntery. The penetration's nice, and now this bonus damage, they can build things like Transcendence, Jotun, these high physical power items, and really synergize with it.
That's
Assassins
a
who
big
work off
bleed,
basic
by the
attacks
way.
can totally do it, or they can go Heartseeker.
Can you
which is
imagine
more
having like
focused
a
on,
50
single instant
damage
burst of
bleed
damage,
on you or
which,
something?
depending on the
from
character you're playing, you
4
might want the instant
abilities?
versus the more over time.
It's a lot of damage.
It's a really nice
It's a
ability
lot.
item that
It's
we
like a
added.
whole ability
We kept
worth
the
of
attack
damage.
speed, although that might seem counterintuitive. You might think of those as complete opposites. Most of those classes, they need some attack speed anyway. So the fact that they can
I
build
was
into an item
hoping
that's
that
very
we
good
would
for ability
inadvertently
hunters while
buff
also
Woojer
getting some
again.
attack speed just makes the ability
I
hunter
told you
class as a
guys.
whole a lot more viable.
Buff him.
Next item on the list is Blackthorn
Buff
Hammer.
him.
I had never learnt the old one.
Well,
not gonna lie.
we're redesigning it so you
Never
can
learned
forget it.
Never learned it because I never saw it.
It bailed you out at low health.
A new passive. While over 50% mana, you gain 10% cooldown reduction. But while under 50% mana, you gain 50 MP. 50 MP5 is a hell of a lot of MP5.
That's a lot of MP5 right
so
there.
you're always going to have
That's a
10% cooldown
MP5 right there,
reduction.
buddy.
Or if you
Always.
drop below it, you're gonna go up fairly quickly.
So you're going to be at
Okay.
This is the
10% cooldown
ability
Interesting.
spam warrior.
yeah. Someone like Guan Yu who like constantly is healing his team and doing all
That's
sorts of
like
stuff.
MP5
Just the
right
bonus health
there.
so you can actually
That's
That's
engage.
that
great
Guan
for
Yu item straight up.
Okay, that's Blackthorn
Oh,
Hammer.
okay.
The next one with a new passive is Iqval. Well, it's not a new passive. It's more of an addition to the passive. It now also reduces magical power by 15 per stack. So instead of having the
Okay.
2 different bows, it's all in one.
Yep, so we're adjusting Ichabel and Silver Branch
Interesting.
to make their differences a little bit more clear. So now Ichabel is going to reduce power of both physical and magical, and Silver Branch is going to do whatever you're about to read
It's
right
going
now.
to do every successful basic attack increases your attack speed by 5% and reduces your opponent's attack speed by 5%
Okay.
for 3 seconds. Oh, that's good. So it's a 30% swing.
Interesting.
Yeah, so instead of magical versus physical bows, now we have power bow versus attack speed bow.
Okay. And that's going to be on the Silver Branch bow. And the next item is going to be Hide
That's
of
different.
the Urchin.
This is an interesting one too.
We're reducing the protections per stack from 3 to 2 to
Yes, but
start
now
off
it has
with.
the-
But now
like
it
a
evolves,
shield or
providing a
something.
new effect. And the new effect is
Now what to
you
do?
gain 100 health plus 5 per level shield that regenerates a small portion of the shield every 3 seconds while out of combat. The full shield will regenerate after 30 seconds. So it's 100 times... So
300
times
total.
300 total. So it's a 300 health
200.
shield that
That's right.
regens...
No, wait.
No, it's
No,
a
it's more than that.
200 health.
It-
5 times 20.
It'd be 250. 100 plus 15 times math.
5 times 20.
No, because it's every 3 seconds, does it every 30.
No, that's only one trigger.
Oh, sure.
No, it's
it does a shield
200.
amount.
We nerfed the protections per
5
stack. This
times
item was
20
another
plus
snow.
Oh, you're talking
Yeah.
about the stacks. I'm talking about the...
No, we're talking about
200.
both. We're talking about both. I'm just re-summarizing because we got lost in the math there.
Unless
The
Somebody
item
said
has
the
been
wrong
nerfed
number.
per protections per stack because this was just the best protection items. Like
Sure.
if you could stack it, we wanted to make it not
2
just
plus
the
2
most
is 4
raw
minus
stats.
1
I wanted to
is
give it
3.
a new
Quick
identity.
math.
So,
So
it
it's
get,
less
God,
you
stats,
still
get
get
together.
stacks,
but less protections
but
per
you
stack.
get a shield, right?
But if you complete it
Shield regens, protects you.
out of combat, it's an out of combat. It's a more if you want to pace out your your initiations more is what it's
Okay.
good for. That's actually pretty hard to stay out of combat for as long as it takes to regen this shield. Like it may sound very strong, but you really have to pace out when
I
you're
don't know
going to
if it
die.
sounded
you
that
can
strong to me.
if
A
you start to
200
play jungle
HP
camps,
shield
you're
didn't
gonna
sound
you're gonna interrupt this a lot.
the
So
most
kind
okay.
of getting that whole shield up is something that we want to take for the more
Yeah,
calculated.
the stack
guys.
to get a
Next
shield.
up.
I don't know. It doesn't.
Hopefully less math involved.
That didn't
Talisman of
strike me
Energy
as-
is the
This
next
one does
on
have
the
less
list.
math.
There's some still.
This is a new item, Talisman of Energy. I've never heard of
It
this.
is
is
kind of
new.
new, but we this one was we
Kind of
had an icon and an item kind
300
of worked
health, 15
roughly out last
magical
year, but we
Okay.
decided not to go forward with it. So some people with data mined saw this icon, it might look familiar to them, but Now it's back with a real item.
2250 in terms of gold, 50 magical protection, 300 health, and a passive. Getting a kill or an assist on enemies causes you and allies within 55 units to gain stacks of energy. Energy stacks provide 1% movement speed, 1% attack speed, 5 MP, 5 per stack. Last 6 seconds and stacks up to 10 times, so that can be 10 movement speed, 10 seconds. When it says kill or assist on enemies...
Anything.
Literally anything.
Anything dying around
Structures?
They don't count as enemies. Sorry.
I
So
mean, technically they are enemies, though.
Sure.
not in the rules of Smite.
Caught 'em, guys.
Humanoids, as we call them,
Okay.
It's minions, jungles, gods.
Minions,
so this is
Kinda
a souped-up
weird.
warflag as a sort of aggressive or
It is,
hybrid
in
magical
fact, they
protection
souped
item.
up
And
one
it ends up being
flag.
10% movement speed, 10% attack speed, 5 MP, 5 per stack as well. So
For your
that's
whole
what,
team, if
50
they're near
MP,
you,
5
if you
per
clear a wave, you get 6% to everybody right around
Unless
you.
you
And use
just
this
keep
to
the straight
boost up
up
the whole team. We
base
really like
stats, you're
Shoguns
never gonna
being an
use it.
aggressive kind of
Right.
aura item. This is kind of in the similar route.
Yeah, we've
Okay.
seen it in playtests where
It's
people
not-
build
it's
it
not
and kind of siege
terrible.
towers with
It's
it because they're
certainly
killing minions and then
okay.
pushing the tower, then killing minions and pushing the tower.
There's
Makes a lot of sense.
situations
It's a lot of fun.
where that might be really
Next up on the list
useful.
is Gauntlet of Thebes. Thebes is going to have some adjustments. Increased cost, first of all, from 2150 to 2400. We've also decreased the health in this
Yes.
item from 300
They're really
to
doing it.
200.
This
has
is
a new
the
passive.
support
For
item.
each assist on a lane minion, gain 1 stack. Stacks provide 1 physical protection, and magical protection evolves at 50 stacks. And the evolved passive provides an aura of 20 magical protections to you and your ally gods within 70 units. So, taking
70
Heartwood, amulets, and
protections
extend it to
each,
the aura,
baby.
Which get it evolved.
Yeah, kind of taking current Gauntlet, which was the aura of both
That's true,
protections.
yeah.
We're giving this more selfish
Thank
protections
you.
for the Guardian, but also have the aura. But you'd have to really commit to being a Guardian to
Gotcha.
get this. This is
It's
like
only assists.
it's hard. It's only
So
assists. You have to
good.
really buy it early and commit to stacking it and playing as a support to really get
That's
those
so
stacks.
good.
Really, we're just pacing it out better as opposed to providing too much of
Literally
an early power spike. We
70
had to nerf it this
physical and
season.
magical
So instead,
protections.
we've created this new identity for a Guardian item. We've been wanting to do something like this for
Yeah.
a really long time.
Sure.
A lot of players
Multiple
have,
seasons.
have had feedback like this.
I love
a
it,
Guardian
dude.
item that a tier 3 that you actually
Oh,
stack
yeah.
like you do Watchers and Lonos to,
Yeah.
to really assist.
You have to get it
and then you
early,
paid
though.
off
It's
with
gonna be
really big
weird.
Guardians.
I mean,
The only
add
thing
down
that's
the
hard about it
hybrids
is
and things.
you
There's
have
a
to
lot of
complete
stack
so
items
quick
with
to get
support.
If you
stats.
complete this
Yeah.
item, you're going to have a lot of protections and health, yeah. And you're going to be giving that aura to your team in a very powerful
That's
way.
good, though.
Okay, Oni Hunter's Garb is the next one on the docket.
And then
New
somebody builds
passive.
Ob
When
Shard, you
3 or more
immediately
enemy
die.
gods
But, you
are
know,
within
we can
55
pretend.
units of you, you gain a 5% damage mitigation buff.
This is just a slight tweak.
Yeah.
We used to have it be more intense and be on a cooldown, so we just made it a more consistent but no cooldown. So
I
And
don't
the
like
wording was
that.
also kind of a bit confusing
I
because
don't
you,
like that
you
at
had
all.
to trigger it
I
off a
really
certain
liked
not being
Oni
around you.
Hunter's
Now
Garb
it just
passive.
triggers
Now it
for
just
having people
gives you
around you. So if we're
Cabrakan.
playing aggressively into an enemy.
Yeah.
Right. So anytime you dive the enemy team, you're going
What
to
a
get
nerf.
Spectral Armor. Decreased physical protection from 70 to 60.
Oh, this
and
is
a new
crazy.
passive. Critical strikes deal 50% bonus damage to you instead of 100% bonus damage to you.
It's the anti-crit item.
Yep.
People
How
have been
about
asking
that?
for this for a while. It's
Doesn't
strictly
fear anymore?
Anti-crit.
Does not
It's
fear.
just
no fear. Yeah, that's gone.
Okay.
We found that a little bit effective but frustrating.
Okay.
So this is the
That
anti-crit
sounds good.
armor. It is strictly, worse as far as just general physical protection.
But to
if
deal with
there's,
crit, it's
if
viable.
there's someone really going crit,
Man.
it evens out a lot better.
Okay, Geb might like that
That's
one at
so
some
good.
point in
Geb
life.
on this is can almost become uncritable.
Yeah.
That's cool. Cursed Ankh upgrade is the next thing on here, and it's remove the debuffs that increased mana cost and cooldown. So,
Okay.
not many people were really using that, but I thought it was a very, very strong opportunity. But it now applies a new curse effect. If you are healed by
Oh,
an
gosh.
ability while this effect is active, you take 20% more damage from
Interesting.
all sources.
Wow.
This effect does not.
Yeah.
So wait. If
You see that face?
If my
That's
teammate heals
interesting.
me and I'm
While you're
debuffed,
cursed, yeah.
but
Yeah.
what if he's a noob? That's not my fault. He's a noob and he healed me when I didn't want to get
Well,
healed.
he healed you, so use that health
Stay
to
away
get out.
from him. Yeah, I don't know. We were only doing a
That's
couple relic changes.
troll,
dude.
We were feeling really good about relics, but there's a couple upgrades that didn't feel like they had the same potency when
20%
upgraded.
extra
So this is one
damage
that
is
people
a
really
lot.
weren't
That makes
prioritizing
that
the
really
upgrade. We wanted
good
that
for
to happen.
against healers,
Um,
dude. Like,
We
Sylvanas
also,
goes to heal
wanted
your
just,
team,
look
and
at
then
a
you're
couple
all
relics
just
and a
getting
couple nerfs
railed
to see
on.
damage changes, so.
So you take increased damage with this upgrade if you are getting healed.
Right, and that
Cool.
lasts for the same duration as the healing. So if you are cursed for 5 seconds, and you only
Yeah.
get healed the last second, you only cut that increased damage for 1 more second.
Well, talking about relics, there's the next one. This is a big one, guys. Get ready
Oh,
for this.
yes, rest in peace.
Hand of the Gods.
Oh, come on!
Goodbye.
Rest in peace, Hog.
It's over.
I don't get Hog back?
Live your life now as a strategy game.
It's over.
So Hand of the Gods was a really tough relic to balance. It was kind of always designed as this idea to help junglers in low clear scenarios, but we just didn't see that happening. The only time it was meta, it was used to just spam on jungle boss clear or invade clear, which was neither of those scenarios were very fun from most players' perspective, most pros.
Incon has been removed
really
from
wasn't,
the game.
The relic was not fulfilling its goals in either direction, so it is just bye-bye.
Okay,
that's
it for Hand of the Gods. Shield of Thorns is the final relic in this section. If you are dealt 150 times your level damage while this effective is active, Shield of Thorns will end early.
This applies to both this and the upgrade. So really, this just prevents those extreme scenarios where you can somehow reflect an absurd amount of damage. If it's going to have a cap now.
Right. Okay, so it's capped out. So like, if a whole team goes on you, you can still die because not everyone's going to be like, well, it's going to keep.
And we'll be looking at this number really closely. This scaling number. This was a kind of tough one to calculate, as we want to see it in practice, see if players are actually achieving it ending early and then counterplaying it in that way, or if it's still lasting full duration the whole time. We'll bring that cap down a little bit. So that's how we want to balance the words.
Burn.
Okay. So that's it for the item section with us here.
There's a lot more.
There's still more to come.
Go read it
I want to
online.
make sure you're very, very aware of this as well. Twitter and Reddit will be live all the time after the show with after the patch note show with the live patch notes going out for you all to read individual single outline changes, as well as answering any questions you guys have. What we're going to do, though, instead of going straight into God Balance, is we're going to have a little interlude with the lovely Tina and Chuck and have a look at some of these skins while these guys go and get some of those questions answered. We'll be back in a second.
Interlude. Get it? Tina, interlude. Oh, you see what I did there? Like a sensual, like a lewd, but interlude, like a time between. That's right, put me on a team. I'm a genius.
And we're back with Tina and Chuck. How you guys doing?
Very well.
I didn't get to see the video because Tina was busy hitting me with her headset.
Sorry.
Just to start the day off.
Just heard the guitar.
Normally we leave the skins to the end, but we thought because we've got to go through so many numbers and things, we'll take a little break now and show those skins in game before we go straight back to looking at the God Balance changes that are going to be going in as well before the end of it.
There was a lot of numbers.
There was a few
I was getting
numbers.
sleepy.
There was a few numbers. That's why you guys, you're here for comic relief now.
Oh, excellent.
It's generally what you're always here for, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought we
You
were
can count on
here
us, dude.
Chuck
for
is
our
strange to you?
expertise.
Oh, that
Because
too.
Chuck is a strange person.
If you want to put it that way, I guess. You can try to. We'll start things off with Star
That's okay.
Salvager Scardy.
Oh,
This
I'm
looks
ready.
I heard a lot about one of the jokes in this or something that you made a mistake, right?
Yeah,
What the
I
fuck
did.
just happened?
I was supposed to say another man's trash is
What
my kind of treasure.
just
Instead, I
happened?
wrote another man's junk is my kind of treasure. And
That's better.
I know.
Was that a too bad Tina?
Yeah, it was a too bad teens moment. So
Did I just have a stroke?
It looks so good, but it's it looks like it's in digital format right now, where it's
He
like, okay,
is.
it's uploading
Yes.
right
Yeah.
now.
That was
It's his
weird.
holograph.
he beeps too,
Version.
so he actually cusses a lot. But
Have we
know,
got game sound, by the way? I'm not sure. I
Yeah.
don't know game sound. Oh, now we do. There we go.
That was
Thank
weird.
You. Production's way on the ball today. Shout out to
That was
production.
weird.
We're not in the usual setting we'd
Oh,
normally be in, but
God.
man, they're making things work.
Sorry, that was weird. That caught me off guard.
So the whole design of this is kind of like intergalactic star traveling.
Yeah, she's
Yes.
she's kind of a
she
space
likes
traveler who collects stuff and makes robot
for
dogs
junk.
and gadgets. She's got gadgetry.
Yeah.
All her abilities are space gadgetry based now.
And there's a look
How
at that one. Now we should be able to hear the voice
Every
back as
time
well
they
with this.
switch to in-game, it messes up my monitor cap.
Nice one. That was crazy. I'm not too shabby. Hey, yeah, you.
Why?
I found that item first. Yeah, K4LD over here loves to go on scavenger 8
That's
to
weird.
NTS.
KLD4.
K4LD, like Calder, but
That's too
K4LD.
Right call there.
Okay, that's the Scardy one. We'll move swiftly along now to Knight of Wisdom Athena.
Knight of Wisdom.
And
Athena. Man, that skin's
Chuck,
cool.
this one looked great. Like, I really like. I saw the little animation we got earlier on, and it looks fantastic with this. What's the hottest thing with this?
There was
on.
I
That's so
mean,
cool.
putting a lot of armor on somebody that doesn't have a lot of armor, helmets, and all that stuff is a little bit tricky. What?
Whatever.
I'm very
Looks amazing.
confused
About what?
because we saw the lance in the card art.
Oh.
Oh, she's holding it upside down.
Yeah, she had
Oh,
it the
yeah,
other way
that's
around.
right,
That's why
yeah.
she
I
put
was
it in
like,
the ground.
what?
Yeah,
It looks
she-
so dinky.
But now she's in like attack mode. You
Yes.
know, she
Alright,
attack
I
and she
got it.
defend.
All right.
now.
I think I can
With the
see
what's
this.
happening.
It makes a lot of sense. There's the dash. Oh, the dash looks nice. What about reach? Reach is so important. I bet you can't show the ult, can you? You didn't think of that, did you, Pon?
I fixed
Silly
it.
Pon. Oh, that was quick.
I don't know why it does that.
Yeah, he's really quick.
Have no fear though, it's been fixed.
Was that an eagle?
I think so. Do it again.
Got him.
on.
I'm a genius. It's weird though that it
On
does
the-
that.
Yeah,
Every time they
yeah, I
switch
see it.
back.
On the ground, the eagle comes down as well. Now she comes with a voice pack too, so we should take a quick listen there.
Woohoo!
Wow!
Fight extraordinarily! Astounding! I fight with pride!
pride.
You have sealed your fate! Why did the knight run about shouting for a can opener? He had a bee in his suit of armor.
Did you really play a joke and then back so I couldn't hear the end of the joke?
Yeah, I was going for a Joan of Arc.
It's also
That
very
makes sense.
it's a very
very good at
solely
losing 'cause
Athena
she's
voice
French, just
pack,
so you know.
yeah. Very such
Next
soul.
up on the
Much
list,
soul.
I mean, I have to. Demonic Thanatos is the next one. Now, this one is. Explain this to me, Chuck, because, like, obviously, it
You are
is
not
the
Orange.
evolved
No, you are
form
not.
to an extent of a previous game we've had,
Yes, it is.
but it doesn't change.
No. So lots of people have,
God,
you
that's so
know,
cool.
really had interest in getting a hold of Angelic Thanatos.
Mm-hmm.
We can't really do that, guys,
Sure.
because of the way the Odyssey structure works. But, you know, we made like kind of like a super inverted homage skin for people that want to have that experience.
It looks dope. It
That
looks
looks
really,
so
really
cool.
good.
Pretty crazy.
Now, it doesn't evolve, but I believe there's some tech that's been put into this skin that is also
Man,
going
that's
to be put
cool.
into the Angelic one, too.
Yeah, so we added this setup like Discordia and Soul and
Which
some
is
other
so
guys
cool,
have,
okay.
where if you're moving forward for a while, they switch over to a different animation grouping for moving, which is flying. That was my tweet, by the way, the skull the other week.
It was a skull.
Yeah. See
course
the
it
skull for the execute.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Got
That
him.
looks really cool.
This is this
It's pretty
is this
intense.
is great
He's
value.
got like a very super
Archon
Castlevania
Thanatos.
kind of vibe that I've really been enjoying.
It's a great deal.
So
Good
we
work.
run through the abilities real quick again.
It's a
Obviously,
tier
you just see
5
the Ultra Scythe
recolor, it
as
is.
well. Does this have a VGS? Or am I making that up? Did I hear it had a
What's
special?
happening? Hello?
TXG?
Oh, it's
I
slow
don't believe
motion.
So I think the thing that we added was the
Oh.
Oh,
yeah.
Creepy.
I think the thing that we added was the additional flight thing. Pon, can you move
Gotcha.
forward for a while without doing anything else?
yeah, just walk.
Just kind of be chill.
Pon being chill. That's chill.
I don't know. I've definitely seen it.
This is awkward.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
I don't see the feature.
But I do understand that anything that has been
Awkward.
added to this skin is also going to be added
Don't
to
use the word
Angelic.
anything. That's
Sorry,
a bad
sorry.
word. Don't. We're on
Apologies.
the internet here. and
Apologies,
people
not
don't
anything, but-
they could add anything.
That's true.
You see?
If they want to have a go at me, I don't care. I'm not.
No, it's not
Oh,
you.
man.
I don't care about you.
Yeah, but it's
I
on
just
my
don't want
head.
to get a lot of tweets.
It's on my head because like, well, Hindu said. And I was
All
like,
right,
well, Hindu
cool.
said it.
I'll just blame
That's all right,
Hindu.
blame
That's
me,
a
it's
good
fine.
strategy. Yeah,
problem.
I feel pretty good.
All right,
about
that's the demonic Thanatos, and we've got Pale Raven Morrigan. Oh, sorry, the voice pack for Thanatos. My bad.
Yeah, let's do it.
Victory will be mine. Victory will be mine. See, revenge. I am
Thanatos is
invincible.
always so cool.
When I realized I couldn't be everywhere, I created the mother.
Voice is cool and skins are cool.
I created the what?
Mother-in-law.
When I realized I could be everywhere, I created the mother-in-law.
Oh, right. Okay, I get it.
Okay, that's on the bingo board for a bad joke where we grow. Good job, everybody at home who put that one in. Pale Raven Morrigan is the next one on
Man, that
the
Thanatos.
list.
I'm gonna be using that all the
All
time.
the time. I love the tattoos on this as well. And I love, she's pale.
Yep.
It reflects in the name. Pale Raven
Yeah, this
a
is
great card,
actually a
too.
pretty sweet Morgan. This
Now-
will actually be pretty fun.
Tina, can you tell me how these guys get this skin? Do you know off the top of your head?
How
I've
do
got
we
written
get
down
it?
here it's 150 rank wins
Oh.
when players should receive this, and how it's earned is by playing ranked, from what I understand.
It's a ranked reward.
Yeah.
A ranked reward
Skin.
skin. Yeah. I wasn't sure if you guys knew because we've not had chance. We've been so busy. We've get this patch. We haven't had a chance to sit with you guys and like
You're
talk
just
through.
reminding
but-
me right now.
Well, there you go. For you guys at home, it's a ranked reward. This skin. that you'll
And it
be able to
does have custom effects.
Oh,
Ooh,
so
listen to
it's
those
the rank
sounds.
reward
That
skin.
is
Okay.
swanky.
Okay.
Season pawn. That is terrible. I only just noticed that.
Man, what is that? That is something. Some dramatic shit is happening right
What
now.
is that sound?
Is that when they have the curse on them?
Do that again.
What was somebody?
That was some
What was
dramatic
that?
music.
the curse?
Oh, we got to go faster.
Okay. Next up, let's have a listen to the voice pack now for Merrigan.
Okay, right on. Go.
That was some dramatic
We are
music.
How devious! We are number one! They don't even know what powers we possess.
We
Honestly, we might be a pyromancer. We really, really love pie.
okay.
And that's it for the skin section for
I like
now.
the pyromancer joke
The pyromancer
about
joke did
pie.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
well. Pie is important. You guys have been amazing. Any last things on the
Okay.
skins before we let go?
I think we're good.
Thank you so much for joining
Oh,
us today.
yeah, number
We'll be
one.
back momentarily with the God section now of the game. We'll be right back after this.
Yay! They're coming back.
Mortals, do not fear death.
Waiting patiently. This was a cool video. Where
Death is not the end. Death is the beginning. Surrender to the flames of Ragnarok. Forge a new world where all shall fear me.
Welcome back. As you can see, Chuck was desperate to get off air so these guys could get back on. So, once again, it's AJ and Pom Pom. We're time to go through gods next.
There we
Oh,
go.
yeah.
It's God time.
God
Start
time.
things off with what's the philosophy for Season 5, AJ?
So we have a very different dynamic this year. We have a big change to the map. There's a lot of things that are a little unpredictable. We want to see how a lot of things go. So we're taking God balance purposefully. We're taking it a little lighter this year. We're going to address a few key categories, just like we did in items. We're going to look at some mage changes, because they got a lot of changes in their items. We're going to look at some gods that were just clearly overperforming at the end of last season. And we're going to look at a couple gods that are just clearly underperforming, or ones that might end up with some map buffs, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
So really, we didn't want to do too many of these map buff nerfs. We really want to wait for the patch to go live and
see how it
see
all
how
plays
they
out.
really perform. Because you can
Alright.
theory craft a lot of
Let's
things
do
like
this.
Thor ult might get better on the new map, but there's more factors to it than that. There's more cover in the air. It's harder to see where you're going to land. He can't ult really from like lane to lane. He has to walk closer, further, whatever, to the lane before he can actually dunk into the lane. There's a lot more intangibles.
Yeah.
So we really want to see how a lot of those play out, and so we're taking 5-1 a little lighter, but you can expect pretty heavy balance as we go forward in the early parts of Season 5, because we want to really see how much this new map really shakes things up.
Well, graphic is coming on your screen right now to give you guys a
Alright.
little look at some of the changes we're going to see for sure. Buffs
Okay.
to Ymir,
Oh.
Loki, Raw,
Oh, man, I got
Hugo,
nerfed
Hal,
again!
Scylla, Aries, Khepri, Tyr, Giannis, Cousin
Damn!
and Toth. Nerfs
Oh, I
to
got
Rajan,
nerfed and
Fafnir,
changed.
Cullen, Ratatoskr, and
Damn.
Music Raven. Shockingly enough, you may have seen a lot of those at Worlds.
Yeah, those are
And
Worlds.
adjustments or changes, Al Kwong and Nike. We'll go through most of these now.
Buffing
but
Scylla,
there's a
are
rough
we? And
overview.
Hemo and Jan.
We don't
We're
go into
buffing Janice
detail.
again?
You can find them on the full patch notes about what adjustments.
Can we stop
to make
the
it
buff of the
easier
Janice?
or an adjustment. The next thing to talk about then is we're going to start things off with mages to begin the game. All mages have their magical protection scalings of 0.9 per level.
Yes, we're giving this to
We've all got
all.
magical.
So previously, core DPS mages did not have any magical scaling per level.
Right.
We're giving them all that. Now it is consistent across the entire game. We didn't
All
really do it just for
mages have magic
consistency's
scaling,
sake.
really?
Because it's okay for things to be different in
Magic
Smite. We did
protection
it because we
scaling.
wanted to help the mage class as a whole,
Yeah.
along with our item changes and our philosophy of like bringing the different mages
That's
up in different
interesting.
strengths and having them all be viable.
Sure.
Wanted to equalize this out too. This is also a very core component in Guardians versus Mages.
That's what I was going to say. Guardians versus
Yes.
Mages. Obviously, Guardians are very strong at dealing with Mages because they can get.
The only
dive
Loki
and
buff
damage.
is his decoy
So we
got
want to
buff.
give
So
Mages
don't worry
really
about it
stood
too
no
much.
chance against Guardians in many scenarios.
It's
Previous
increased
to this, but
damage
now
on his
they'll have a few
decoy,
more options.
decreased
They'll be a
cooldown.
little harder to kill by Guardians, and they'll have a little more options like with the tank shredders to defend themselves.
We're going to go through some of the changes that we've done. These ones are based off Season 4 balance from Worlds, first of all, from Hires Expo. We'll start things off with a Moose and Carb. Hives,
we
first of all.
do the HRX nerfs.
Yeah, we've got to do some changes to these. These are still even going to be impactful in Season 5, we expect.
Yes.
So, a Moose and Carb, Hive, decrease the attack speed buff from 10 to 50%. It's now going to be 10 to 30%.
That's a big
and
one.
not only that, we've also decreased the movement speed buff from Hive from 10 to 30%. Will be now 5 to 25%. So just a little bit less mobile.
Yeah, a little bit harder to box.
That's
then
a
he's
big
not gonna
nerf.
be as crazy stimmed with
That's a
Hives fully
big
active.
nerf.
He also is going to be moving a bit less while Hive are active. And especially on Season 5 with the map being a bit bigger, that movement speed component, being able to create that Hive of networks, was a really big boon to him. So a little bit preemptive, but mostly off his performance at Worlds.
He was one of the highest performing gods of Season 4, both in HRX and in ranked play and etc. Really, really strong god. So
After a Moose and Carb, we'll look at
He needed
Cullen.
the nerf. He
His
needed the nerf.
base. Sorry, his base stats reduced base HP 5 from 9 to 7. But not only that, we also hit the Spear of Mortal Pain, the Warcry as well. Increased cooldown from 90 seconds to 100 seconds. So the ultimate is going up 10 seconds.
Right, that mostly affects his non-berserk mode.
Yeah.
But of course, it carries over. But this was a really strong ultimate, right? He gets CC immunity. He can AoE CC an entire team, does a good bit of damage, and it enables him to berserk.
Yeah.
So we really want players who play Cucullin, play him well, to manage their rage better and rely on that.
I didn't
using
really
that on
nerf
their other
Cucullin
abilities as opposed to
that
just
much.
ulting right into it. So just adding some
To
cooldown
be
on this to
honest
slow him
with
down, so
ya.
he's not just being
He'll
hulking
still
out
be
all the
super
time.
strong.
After that, it's Fafnir. Curse Strength.
Fafnir needed
Decreased
to
the
be
stun
nerfed. He's
duration
still
from
too strong.
1.5 seconds to 1
Yeah,
second
God.
in both Dwarf
Oh yeah, that hurts me. That hurts
So
us
just
to me as a
overall on the
support
stun, just
player,
coming
but
down by
it probably
0.5
needed to
Yeah,
happen.
it makes it so that he has a hard time locking down. Right now, he can like stun someone, ult, and then leap
Yeah.
onto them, and then
He
stun them
needed
again.
to be nerfed,
It's a
though.
really strong chain. Now having that reduced by 0.5 seconds on both his dwarf and his dragon form.
Hurts
makes
me
it
as
just
a
control
support
teams a bit
player,
less
but
often.
like
So I
as
just
a
wish we could kinda
Fafnir
deal
being
with the amount of control
my,
that he brings
still
to
the
the
number
fight.
one
Still
after
has
all
the
that year.
slow, so-
Yeah, and he has lots of unique elements, right? Which he didn't need that single player lockdown as well. Like he's already got the AoE stim, or just the single player team stim, and he's also relatively evasive as far as the Guardian goes with his ability to go out of the battlefield with his transformation and with his leaps. So those are his unique aspects we wanted to focus on. A single target lockdown. He was just a little too good at too many things. So.
Raijin is next up, and its Percussive Storm reduced the base damage from 30 going to 90. It's now going to be 25 to 85 per shot, which works out at 120 to 360 or 100 to 340 total. Not just Percussive Storm, though. We've also hit Raiju, reduced the damage to targets beyond the first. 15 to 55 plus 13% scaling will now be 9 to 33 plus 8% scaling per tick. So the first target takes more damage, the others not so much, so it's not going to be as effective to clear the wave.
Right.
Okay.
Get nerfed.
Taking his lane clear down, he's got so much
nerfed.
team fight impact that, and his lane clear was also too good. So these both strictly make him harder to lane with.
Okay. It also means like if you're a tank, you can take that
Stupid.
Raiju, like I'll take most of the damage.
Raijin.
Right. Whoever was marked
Whatever
by Raiju
kind of
gets
god- I don't
taken
know what
next
kind
and
of
takes
god
more,
he
but
is.
everybody else will take half.
I'm finding
Stupid.
60%.
That's all I
Tycho
know.
Drums is the last
Stupid.
one. Increased cooldown from 90
Yeah,
seconds to
yeah,
100
yeah. Keep nerfing him.
So
Yeah, kick
increased
him out of
cooldown
the
from 90
game.
seconds to 100
Punch him in the
seconds.
head. Kick him while he's down. Take
This is
away
just
his
a very
drums.
powerful ultimate. We saw this at HRX,
Yeah.
so we want to slow this down a little bit too.
And the
Good.
last one on this list from the world's changes are Raven. Decreased base health from 470 to 450, so a little bit squishier. And Mystic Rush decreased damage mitigation buff. It used to be 20 to 40%. It's now going to be 10 to 30%. So overall, big nerf there.
Yeah, he was very aggressive early on.
It
He
is a
could clear
big
very
damage
effectively. He could
mitigation
gank very effectively, and it was hard to push him out because he got
Good.
so much damage mitigation.
Raven
you couldn't
also
really
super
ever trade with
strong.
them.
Nerf him.
This helps it,
Nerf him.
especially early game. You can trade with them a bit more.
Okay, cool. After the world's balance changes for gods, we're going to look at preemptive adjustments for Season 5. Now, a lot of these, I guess, is to things that we could expect to have knock-on effects for those gods.
Now we're
as that
focusing a
goes
little
on.
bit around like movement speed and jungle clear, depending on, or just clear in general.
Well,
so.
we'll start with movement speed, and the following gods are all going to get increased movement speed. I don't have the number of the movement speed, but
It's
it's
so
Five
these
each?
were the
Chase
slowest mages in the game
movement
at 350, or and Guardians.
Yep.
Guardians were some were at 360, most at 365. We bumped those slow ones up to up 5, and same with mages. So now these mages are going from 350 to 355. These Guardians are going from 360 to 365.
Yep,
I believe.
Interesting.
Sounds right.
The reason for this is just because they were low mobility, the map's bigger, so we want to give them a bit
Okay.
more.
Yeah, these gods that were just slower than everyone else in their class, it didn't seem necessary.
Okay.
I think Geb is one of the only notable exceptions from
Rollout.
here because rollout is so insane on the new map. He will be the slowest Guardian going forward.
No.
And then, we'll be closely looking at mages as we go forward, but it didn't really make sense to us to have a couple mages who seemed arbitrarily punished.
Rest in peace, Gab.
Next one on the list is Loki. Now, this was leaked early on, Pom Pom.
Yeah.
Decoy, we decreased the cooldown from 14 seconds to 12 seconds and increased the damage from 75 to 275. He's going to be 90
Knew
to
that was
290.
coming already.
What's the reason?
So there's some map changes that happen with specifically jungle clear and with lane minions being a bit tankier.
Yeah.
And so Decoy as a pet doesn't benefit from things like Assassin's Blessing.
Sure.
So that 35% damage increase that all other junglers were getting does not apply to Decoy. And so we wanted to bring up his damage a bit so he can still more compete with how he currently competes, as well as lower the cooldown so that he can
Whatever,
do things
Loki's
like
still
make
gonna
the jungle
suck.
camps or make the
better-
lane minions not focus
better
as
still
often,
suck.
get a bit more damage out, actually do it between camps because camps respawn a bit quicker, so having multiple uses of Decoy is very useful. Really just to help Loki stay kind of where he is, because he's going to be a character that doesn't benefit
Help
from a lot of
Loki
the other
stay
changes that
where
happen
he
that other
is. Let's
characters
not
aren't gonna
help
benefit
him.
from.
We really shouldn't be helping.
So that's the Loki
you
change.
know,
We'll move on to Ratatoskr next up. Dart increased cooldown from 12 seconds to 14 seconds, and Incon Blast, the mana has increased on this from 60 flat to 60, scaling up to 80.
Get nerfy.
Yeah.
I guess this is because of a
Ratatoskr.
semi-globe.
Well, Pon was pretty passionate about this one as we try, and this is like an
Get nerfed.
example for how we're going to move forward with this. So for Smite Season 5 balance, especially in the new map, we want to be very aware of mobility and global ultimates.
Yeah.
Specifically, we targeted Ratatoskr because he had multiple factors of this. He had a low cooldown, long distance dash, he had a global ult, and he had an ability that allowed him to buy more items, his passive, buy items from the map, which is, so he had like 3
Get nerfed,
advantages in
rat.
this new map, where most gods only have like 2.
Sure.
So we're taking him down first. We're going to continue looking at gods like this, and one of the things we'll probably be doing in a lot of cases if we see this is increase the cooldown of leaps and dashes. So if we see specific gods, Relics, Suku or something, if she's overperforming really heavily, maybe we'll take that cooldown up a couple seconds. This is something we want to do as we go forward, though. So we're not doing this just on every single fast character in the game right now.
Sure.
We know we were pretty certain that Ratatoskr was going to be very strong.
Him being able to buy his Acorn out in the middle of the map is really, really impactful where other characters have to back. It's a huge shift for him.
Yeah, so we'll be looking at that as we go forward. So
Rat was really.
we'll try that out
really
together, and we'll see.
strong
And we think
on the new map
overall
at-
as a whole,
at
at making
HRX,
leaps and
by the
dashes
way.
have a little
I'm
bit
just
longer
saying,
cooldown
like,
on certain gods that need it will be a
really
good
strong.
thing for players all
So,
over the game. Those
it
are very
makes
powerful
sense that
abilities.
he's
You don't
getting
want
a bit of a
free
touch as we get
escapes.
into
We
it.
want you to really think about it when you use those types of abilities. So overall, I think it'll have a positive effect going forward.
So after those changes, we're going to look at some additional adjustments as well. We're going to start this off with Nike, first of all. Nike's getting a bit of an adjustment is what we put down on the list, and Nike is now knockback immune while channeling this ability on Rent. We've decreased the damage, however, which was 50 to 190, is now
Yeah,
50 to
that's a big
170,
deal.
so early game definitely improvements. But this technically does help a lot of her lane matchups that she was struggling with.
Yeah, so Nike is an interesting one. We've been trying to convey this to the
Decrease
community
the
that she is
damage?
one of the strongest gods in the game. Undeniably so.
Okay.
What?
She is
Or months.
extremely, since forever.
Yeah.
But we still get constant requests to buff her.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy to us. We don't really normally see things in this direction when you're so statistically performing so well in so many ways, and people still constantly asking for buffs. We think it's because of her interruptibility.
Yeah.
So she feels like she's very counterable. We also saw this in our stats where the higher level she dropped off a little bit. Not notably, she's still a very, very good god, but
Yeah,
she
she was
dropped off
still,
a little bit.
She was in like top 20 versus
Oh,
like
no.
top 1.
Yeah, and that's because people were
That's
interrupting
crazy.
her. So really what we want to do was make her knockback immune while she's channeling.
I
This is
haven't
something
seen a
people
Nike
expect
in
from these type of abilities in Smite anyway. It kind of felt strange, felt odd.
Months,
But then take her
actually.
damage down a little bit, see if this makes the perception
Oh,
match
no.
the reality a little better, and then see where she falls. She very, very likely might need more nerfs, which I know, I'm sorry you guys think I'm crazy for that, but she's just absolutely performing so strongly. And we've written it, we've messaged it, we've talked about it everywhere, so we're going to finally talk about it here too. She is extremely good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you asked for buffs, and we can't give those to you. He's already the best, one of the best gods.
Okay. Is pretty strong. So.
It is. This is a buff in a lot of scenarios, but not in every scenario. So that's why we have it here under the adjustments.
And her average damage over the course of a game, especially in games where we don't actually expect that she's getting interrupted that often, is going to.
I believe you.
Okay. Right. After Nike, we're going to talk about Toth. Hieroglyphic Assault is the thing that's going to get changed. Increased base damage from 35 to 115. It's going to be 40 to 120. So he was struggling in the early game in terms of clear, is what a lot of people were saying, and that's, I guess, the area we buffed. Right?
Really, though?
Toth is interesting. He's kind of the opposite case of Nike.
Right.
Most people
think he's OP.
Think he's OP, but he's actually very low performance.
Come on!
So we finally saw towards the end of season 5 his
I was gonna give you the Nike. I ain't giving you Thoth too. You can't have it both ways. You don't. You can't have both.
He is one of the lower damaging mages. People
you get one.
Clear with him early. He has a lot of skill shots. You have to hit all of them to be impactful. So, getting just a slight damage adjustment here to bring him in line.
And last but not least to talk about is going to be
stupid ass statistics.
Increase the heal physical power scaling from 0% to 20%. So take a heal.
Yeah, so his healing actually scales. It was a flat heal before, and this really comes off a change that we made really early in season 4, where he was really strong. We changed the healing so that it only worked with single-off gods, and it was kind of capped when you did it with minions.
Yep.
And then since then we saw him really struggle. We made a few adjustments to try and bring him back. None of them really impacted him enough to kind of bring him back into solo lane. We didn't see him very often in a lot of competitive settings. And so now we're looking to bring back a little bit more of his healing.
To be fair, Tears
really did bring him low before.
Terrible
All of it
for a very
because
long
it was
time.
frustrating to fight him.
He definitely needs
full.
stuff.
Sure.
So now, with his normal build, he's going to get a little bit of additional scaling. And if he really wants to actually make this heal super good, he has to start sacrificing his actual bulk to get physical power and actually make that heal more impactful. Right. So a little bit of buff for the tanky tiers. If you're more of aggressive tier, it's more of a bigger buff. So your playstyle gets kind of changed based off this adjustment.
More heals for Tay.
We did it. How long did it take?
Yeah,
what time is it?
That's everything that they're doing?
Hey, we almost did it.
Yeah, 1:45.
15 minutes. We're really close.
I was over. So, what's going to be happening right now?
What's happening right now?
Yeah. Because these guys are about to disappear to go and do some playtests and start doing stuff.
Okay.
When's the patch notes going to be formally released on to the public?
I think they're out now.
Are they out now already?
Very shortly, if not out now.
Yeah, they're out.
Okay.
Patch notes are out. Full
PTS.
numbers.
Very shortly.
We're doing some final tests right now.
Today?
It should be today, yes.
The goal is today, yes.
There might be a couple bugs. I think Spectral Armor might have an issue. Blessings had some selling issues we're still trying to resolve. You'll have a couple things.
Sure.
But PTS is planned to be
I
out
think
today.
the people at home will be okay with a couple of small issues like that if it means to contest the game.
Yes, they will.
So, let's get to work on it, boys.
Sounds good.
Get off my set. Go and fix it. For you guys who are still here with me, though, don't go anywhere because we're going to give you guys something special right now. We're going to actually give you a live first look at a PTS where we're going to cast it. And I get to cast a game now after doing an hour and 45-minute patch note show. That's going to be amazing and a really good time. I'm just waiting for AJ to get out of the chair so we can sit down so Tom can be with me and help me cast this game so I don't have to just talk slowly.
Cast a Season 5 game?
Yeah, that'd be great.
I don't
Hi,
care.
Efta, how's it going? He's not got a mic on yet.
I do not care about that.
You're going to do so? Well, you're on camera now. Look at your booty. Look at that
Oh,
booty.
God. We're really going to look at F.'s butt
So,
at the end?
what's going to happen is we have some of the people in the PlayStation studio.
Thanks everybody for watching the video. If you want to watch more content, go ahead and click yourself down in the corner to watch another one of our videos. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, you can find that right up on there. And if you want to go ahead and buy some sweet merchandise, guys, you can click that right above my head. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, have a twitching day.